Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. The show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 72 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for February 2023. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor here at the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, John. Just glad that you have power and cable today.
Right. So if you saw the little post that we just posted here for the live show, you might have seen the post that said that our internet is up. Yes, the internet is up here. So we had a big winter storm come through our area that knocked down a ton of trees, and I was without internet for about 30 hours, Tim.
Wow.
And I just got it back this morning about 5 a.m. So once we had that, I was good to go. We weren't for sure if we were going to be able to do a live show tonight, but luckily we are here. And Tim, as long as the internet holds up, we will continue to broadcast. So,
right.
Good news is that if for some reason it dies on us during the middle of the broadcast, we'll do record it. So we will put it up afterwards. So hopefully, though, it'll hang on at least for the live show and get us through that part, and hopefully the after show too. Right. So we'll see. But yeah, it's been quite a week around here in Texas. We've had storms come through that have pretty much created a big sheet of ice, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're pretty close to that, and it was rough going out there. And Tim, you travel a lot for your job. Did you have any issues with that?
Well,
this
kind of
week?
had to rearrange my schedule a little bit because anything that, if you know where we live, I-20 kind of runs straight. Anything above I-20 was frozen. Anything below was just getting rain or some freezing rain, but it wasn't as cold. So I kind of had to stick the last couple of visits under the freezing line, and it's been fine, except for it's actually rained for like 30-something hours too. So the roads are still slick and stuff, but I'm just glad that we kind of got through that. I think we got a sunny day tomorrow coming. We haven't seen the sun here for a few days, and you guys know that if you watch the show that in Texas, we just don't handle the snow and sleet and everything. I was in Chicago just a week ago and it was snowing, no big deal. But here, we get a little sleet and ice, it is a big deal, and so thankful that we're back up and going. Hope that you guys are staying warm, because I know if that came through here, it probably pushed its way into up north and probably turned into a lot colder and a lot more damage. So hope you guys are staying warm and where you are, and so glad that y'all joined us today, though. We made it.
Yeah, and fortunately, Tim, it wasn't as bad as Snowmageddon back in 21,
right?
Which obviously took the whole state down with it, and we were down there for a while. But we are glad to be back up and running tonight with power. Now, a lot of people in our area do not have power and do not have other things. My brother, I think, is still without power. Maybe
wow.
I think they were as of last night. I don't know if they got it back today. So hopefully it'll come back on soon for all those who don't have it. If you're watching this on your cell phone and you've got your last bit of battery life down there, then be careful, and hopefully you'll get your electricity back soon.
And I would say that if anybody out there is that's your job, if you're a line worker and you provide electricity, man, kudos to you. That is a hard job. I definitely wouldn't want that job. But I saw a lot of people buying them meals and saying thank you. I know you guys are working really hard, so if that's your line of work, good, God bless you. That's a tough job, right?
Absolutely. I've got at least 2 friends, Tim, that I know of that do that, and
wow.
It is tough. So, yeah, definitely want to thank all the linemen out there for getting us up. So, good job, guys. Well, we hope that we find you good this month. It is February 10th. It's Groundhog Day, and for those of you guys who have not seen the news, Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow today, so 6 more weeks of winter. So, or in Texas, what we like to call early spring anyway. So, that is the way it will go here, but hopefully wherever you are is nice and pleasant, and you're having a good time. We do want to remind you that as you watch this, if you're watching this live, you can interact with us in the live chat. We do have our live chat, Tim. We already have quite a few comments and questions and things to get to. And so we will get to those in time, but just a reminder that you can leave those there. If you're watching this after the fact, we would encourage you to send a comment down below as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a comment section down below, so even if you missed it when we actually did it live, you can always comment there, and we'll try to get to those comments on the next episode. Well, Tim, before we move on to the outline, let's go ahead and get to the live chat. YouTube Punk says, howdy, everyone. Jumping General has a question, so I'm going to come back to that real quick. Real Hammer Billy Lee says it's the first Thursday of the month, and you know what that means.
Yeah,
there you go.
Time. Thank you,
right.
Billy.
Joe Holt says, that's replying to Jumping General. We'll get to that in a second. Big D Retro, hello guys, welcome back. Thanks for the voltmeter. Oh, so Big D Retro got the voltmeter.
Okay.
Last month we had a giveaway for a multimeter, if you guys remember, and apparently Big D Retro got that. So congratulations. We do actually ship the stuff we give away.
Right.
Imagine that. So we will be giving something away here in a little bit, Tim. It is not tool related per se.
But I think it's a really cool, a unique gift tonight.
Okay, unique prize.
Yeah, unique prize.
There you go. So stay tuned for that. We'll announce that here in a bit. Mr. Dwayne's here, Tim. He says, what's going on, guys? Paul is here. He says, hello, everyone. And,
hey, Paul.
Yeah, Joe is here. Next arcade live show over ham radio. We may have to do that depending on how the internet holds up. But like we said, we're hoping for good things tonight. Hopefully the internet will hold up for us throughout the show, and we'll be able to enjoy it live with you instead of recording it, Tim.
Right.
As you guys know, we have done some not-so-live shows, as I like to call them. We have done those in the past, but we enjoy it more when you guys are here with us.
Well, this is episode 72.
Right.
Out of 72, there's only been a couple.
Yeah, that's true. Most of them we were able to actually broadcast through, so that just goes to show you. I think we have a pretty good track record. So I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's 99% uptime, but maybe like 95%.
Yeah.
There you go. So, okay, Tim, well, let's get to this question here from Jumping General real quick. Hey, guys, are most power supply brands created equal? I've picked up a Moonwalker cabinet fully working. The power supply looks original. Should I go and replace it or leave it alone? So, Tim, I'm going to throw this to you.
Well, I would say overall, if they're new power supplies, they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. But if you want the honest truth, yes, there's Adidas brand, there's Nike brand, there's Ford brand, Chevy brand. So some people have some preferences just because they had better luck. Having said that, if you do a little bit of internet research, you'll see the name Peter Chow come up a lot. And we tend to like them power supplies too because we've had a lot of good experiences that they're still working after a lot of years and stuff. But it kind of depends, on you and what you're running. Some are ATX style, and some are linear style. So, I kind of go more for convenience. Like I like the HAP ones that actually you don't even have to get out a meter. It has the indicator light that shows when it's close to 5 or 12 volts. That's just a preference. So most of them we really haven't had too many just bad ones. Maybe one run or something we got one time. They were just kind of cheap. I don't know where they come from. I think they all probably come from the same place. We know that place that we don't always mention, but yeah, all of our electronics come from there. But at the same time, is it Peter Chow? Are they Korean made or something? But anyway, it's kind of a personal preference, but I've had most luck. What about you, John?
Well, I think he's really asking if he should go ahead and replace it or leave it alone. And my thought is that if the voltage is good, leave it alone.
We always say if it's not broke, why fix it?
Exactly.
If it's working, get the most use out of it as you can. It's like a TV, If you get a good picture and watch the game, then it's fine. But once it goes out, just replace it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, in this particular case, and with a Moonwalker, I'd imagine, Tim, this is a standard switching power supply, probably nothing that's really special. And so once it goes out, you should be able to get one from any of our parts retailers that we recommend, Tim. Holland Computers has their own Retro Arcade US style one that's really good.
We've always had good luck with it.
Yeah, exactly. We've used that. Who knows how many projects had good luck with that. HAP ones are obviously great. You really can't go wrong. Most of the switching power supplies that you get are going to be relatively inexpensive, and they're going to run really well. So, but that said, don't replace it unless it goes out. I think that would be my thought. And Joe, I think, agrees with that, Tim. He says, I'd leave the Moonwalker alone. When the power supply dies, replace it. So there you go. So
I misunderstood the question, but when it comes to replacing it, I just wait to that point because it's most of the time it's just going to go out. It's not really going to hurt your board and all this stuff. It'll just die. Mm-hmm. It just won't have enough power to power it. So at that point, then you can replace it. And who knows, you may get another 5-10 years out of it. We've got some that are over 30 years old. The hell, they still fire up and play. So, we got some original power supplies in many of our games.
Yeah.
But, unless I'm building a game brand new, I hardly ever put a new one in there until they go out.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think with that said, Jumping General, that's going to be the way to go. So just leave it, let it be until it goes out, and then you can get a replacement for it. Let's see what else we had here. Jason Steverson says live and now in high definition. Yeah, well, 720p, which used to be high definition. Now, Tim, it's not high definition anymore.
I don't know.
They've changed what high definition is on us.
Right.
Golly, but I mean, we tried to do 1080p, but I don't know if my connection can hold it. So that's why we just kept with the 720p. Maybe at some point we'll upgrade and stuff like that. But I mean, I think the 720p is good enough for most things.
Right. The older I get, the lower the definition, the better off it is for you, usually.
That's there you go. Hayesville Arcade says, hey guys, and let's see. Jason says, replace every 40-year-old Big Blue, though. So,
Agreed.
Absolutely. So, okay, guys. Well, I think we're caught up on the live chat, Tim. So let us go ahead and move to the outline. And Tim, we have quite a few questions. Now, you'll notice the title here down below. It says, "Punch out the golden Pac-Man paddle."
Okay.
This is a conglomeration of questions about games that we have tonight, and so you guys can kind of figure out how it goes from there, where each one slots into this little title. So there you go. So let us begin with the first question here, Tim, and this one is from Peanut Butter Rhino 5. Okay, Peanut Butter Rhino 5, and he says, I have a retro full-size Pac-Man machine. Now he indicates 2016 model, Tim.
Okay,
which is set to free play. We would like to change it back to coin op. Can you help? So, Tim, this seems like a pretty simple issue. Now, it's a 2016 Pac-Man machine, which may make a bit of difference, right?
Right.
So, what do you think? Can Peanut Butter Rhino 5 change their Pac-Man machine to coin play?
Well, most of them that are the newer ones, they just kind of put the coin door on there for looks.
Sure.
I'm not sure. It kind of depends on if it's an arcade one-up type, or is it more made for consumer, or is it more made for a business?
Like commercial.
Like a commercial one, yeah. I couldn't think of the word. Thank you, Jonathan. So even though they feature a coin door on the front, a lot of times just for looks. Now, can you make that coin door work? It's possible, but you might need a few other things. Maybe more trouble than it's worth. I don't know. So maybe I would say at this point, you're going to have to send us a picture of the game, and maybe we can help you a little bit further there. I know that that you can make, because they put the card swipe readers on the arcade one-ups, that all they do is receive a signal and then allow it to play. You could hook up the coin to the start button, so that once you coined it up, it would actually start it, instead of if you just kind of wanted that feel. So you could put that, wire up your start button there, so what would happen is when the trigger from the coin going down and triggering it would actually hit the start button, so it would kind of feel like you're hitting, you're doing a coin up game, but in a way you're not. Still on free play, but it wouldn't start until you did that. That might kind of give you that retro feel. I know for a fact that I'm kind of one of those guys that doesn't bother me that much, but I know some that really love the fact that just dropping the coins in there really gives them that nostalgic feel. So a lot of it kind of depends on exactly which game you have, but the fact you got a 2016 model probably leads me to believe it's probably just a fake door. What do you think, John?
I think, like you said, a lot of it depends on the game. If the game was initially made for commercial use, then you should have a coin door with coin mechs in there. But when you open up that coin door, that's what we need to know. Are there coin mechs in the game? Are there coin switches in the game?
Right.
Because if those are missing, more than likely you will not be able to coin it up in the traditional sense. You'll have to do like what Tim is talking about with the rigging and the start button and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can kind of go into a little bit deeper. But if you have the stuff in there, then it probably is just a dip switch or something like that. And we could probably help you. But this would be one of those, guys, when you tell you a lot of times when you send in a question, a picture would have been worth 1,000 words on this one especially. But hopefully that'll at least get you started on knowing what to do or how you can move forward with this.
Sounds good. So, Tim, let me go ahead and put up the outline here. From your description here, Peanut Butter Rhino 5, it sounds like your cabinet is one of the newer style Pac-Man games, maybe a Pac-Man's Arcade Party or a Pac-Man Pixel Bash, Tim. If this is the case, these games in particular were not made for coin play, okay? Even though they feature a coin door on the front, they do not have coin mechs or switches installed. A lot of times, Tim, when you open up that coin door on these machines, there's just buttons.
Right.
There's not actual coin mechs and things. So, you do need to have coin mechs and switches installed. So you can test this for yourself by opening the coin door and checking for these items. If the coin mechs and switches are installed, the game boards were not designed to take input from them. This means that if you wanted to make a game coin operated, you'd need to maybe install a different board that's designed for coin play and rewire the cabinet. Or like Tim mentioned, you could actually wire up the start button whenever it drops the coin, wire up the start button to the coin switch, do it that way. But you'd have to do it in a non-traditional way.
Yes.
And that is the key. So, again, it really just depends on what the inside of that coin door looks like. If it is wired up with coins and with coin switches and coin mechs, then more than likely it is just a dip switch somewhere. So either a hard dip or a soft dip, right, Tim?
Correct.
So, I mean, that's not too bad. It just really, again, it depends on the cabinet. Tim, do you have anything else here for Peanut Butter Rhino before we move on?
I don't think so. Just send us a picture if you got extra questions, and we can probably really get down and get a little more details with our answers.
Sounds good. So Peanut Butter Rhino 5, hopefully that gets you moving in the right direction on your question. If you need additional help, just send us a picture to questions@arcaderepairtips.com via email and let us see what the inside of your coin door looks like, and maybe we can help you identify whether it's a dip switch that you just need to change or if you actually need to maybe do a rig up with the start button or some other method in order to enable coin play. And Tim, anytime I see a username that ends in a number like Peanut Butter Rhino 5, it just makes me think of the other 4 Peanut Butter Rhinos.
Right.
So apparently
he kept
there were
having
4.
to go. No,
1, 2, 3. Oh no, 4. Okay, 5. We got it. Okay, so we also want to say hi to Peanut Butter Rhinos 1 through 4.
Right.
And maybe 0 as well. So there you go. Anyway, so hopefully I answered your question, and good luck getting that Pac-Man on coin play there. Moving over to the live chat real quick, we have Big D Retro. He says, thanks for the advice on the ROM errors and where to buy new ROMs. I was able to fix my 2 ROM errors on my Defender.
Yay.
So I'm curious, with the new ROM chip, how long will they last on average? Pretty long time.
Yeah.
Right, Tim? I mean, do you have, 10 plus years sometimes if it's well taken care of in
I
a
would
good
think
environment?
so. If you're in a controlled temperature environment, they're probably going to last as long as you have the game.
Yeah, I mean, so especially and depending how much play it's getting, that's really the kicker, right? Like, I mean, if you're leaving it on all the time, obviously that's going to wear them out a little bit more than if you are just, you turn it on when you play it, turn it off when you don't, and you don't do it all day long, then it's going to last a lot longer that way. So it just really depends on the amount of play, but I mean, you should expect, 5, 10 years usually, right. Tim. I would.
And depending on what part of the country you live, if you're in the South like us, where it gets really hot, you want it to last a lot longer. The more airflow and fans or something that you installed on your game, which would be a good upgrade of something you want to keep for a while. I've done that on a lot. It's a Defender, right?
Yeah.
I've done that a lot on Defenders just because that cabinet gets really hot in there, and so I like to get some airflow. Usually one going in and one going out. 2 fans installed make a world of difference and probably keep that thing lasting forever.
Absolutely. Okay, Tim, let's do our giveaway.
Oh,
okay.
Right,
so we answered one question. That's enough, right? I wanted to get a little bit into the show before we did it. So, like I mentioned, this giveaway this month is not a tool, but it could. It kind of goes along with repair. I think in a way. So. For the giveaway this month. Now, to remind everybody, what do we do for the giveaways? You're going to send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com, and we're going to put a keyword in there that you have to put in the email in order to enter the contest. So, Tim, the giveaway this month is a cassette player. Okay. So we have this nice Byron Statics cassette player, okay, from a much simpler time, Tim, back when we all had cassettes.
Okay. Brand new.
Okay. It comes with a built-in speaker, so you do not have to have headphones for this. Okay, and it has an AM/FM radio, integrated microphone, and earphones included. Oh, and it is teal. Okay. And it's supposed to be teal anyway. It is teal. Okay, so you have a Byron Statics brand new cassette player. Now, Tim, right. I wouldn't give somebody a cassette player.
How would I find? I don't even know where my cassettes are, John.
Exactly. I would not give you a cassette player without a cassette. Now, Tim, there's only one cassette I could think of that would be arcade repair related, and it is this retro Mike and the Mechanics original cassette from 1985.
Okay.
So
you get the player and the original cassette.
And the original
You'll have at least one tape to listen to.
Right, and repair related. Mike and the Mechanics, right? So you see, sure. I got it in there. So this is what we're giving away. You will send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com, and if you do that with the keyword, you have a keyword for me?
Contest@arcade.
You're going to enter.
I'm entering my... How about Valentine's, since it's Valentine's?
So you will send an email if you want to win this wonderful cassette player, this wonderful Mike and the Mechanics cassette. You will send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com with the keyword
Valentine's.
With an S. And then you'll be entered to win the contest. Sometime around a week or two from now, Tim will give me a random...
Valentine's Day.
Exactly. Tim will give me a random number, and one of you guys is going to win this wonderful prize package of a cassette player with a mic and mechanics. And Tim, this has such favorites as Silent Running.
Okay.
All I Need Is a Miracle.
Well, I need that.
And those are the only two I know off the cassette. Let's see. I Get the Feeling, Take the Reins, You Are the One, A Call to Arms, Taken In, and Hanging by a Thread.
That's a good song.
Oh, Taken In. There we go. So I am very familiar with Silent Running, and All I Need Is a Miracle.
Taken In?
I may know it if you played it for me.
Okay.
So I am not a Mike and the Mechanics aficionado.
Okay.
In fact, back in the day, I wasn't even really a big fan. But I got to be a bigger fan as the years have gone on. So, again, contest at arcaderepairtips.com. Send us an email there with the keyword...
Valentine's.
And you'll be entered to win this wonderful prize package that's worth like $2 or whatever.
That's worth at least 10.
I was about to say, worth at least more than that. But you will get a nice Mike and the Mechanics cassette along with a teal cassette player, built-in microphone, built-in speaker, and headphones for you.
Number 2 pencil to fix it later.
Oh, yes, you will need your number 2. Not included.
Yeah, not
number
included.
2 pencil, not included.
You need one.
Yeah, but this should be in good shape. So we're hoping, it came out of a box full of cassettes, so we'll just see. But anyway, any Mike and the Mechanics fans out there? Tim, do you have a favorite Mike and the Mechanics song?
All I Need Is a Miracle is probably my favorite song.
Yeah.
But Taken In, I have not heard that in a long time. When you said that, I was like, oh, I know that song.
Right. What's the Say It Loud, Say It Clear song? That's on our later album. What's that one? Is that I can't remember the name of that one, but I know that one too.
Yeah.
I am not well versed in a whole bunch of Mike and the Mechanics songs, but I figured it's kind of repair related mechanics, right?
Right.
So there you go.
Is it When We Die?
That's the song, but I don't know the title. So somebody in the live show is going to.
I don't know the exact title, but I know the song.
Oh, let's see. We have here King Kong. So you guys are the best. Thank you for all of the help for the community. King Kong, thank you for being here. Without people like you, we wouldn't have a show.
Right.
So thank you. Delusional says people who write Valentimes with an M automatically get disqualified. That is correct. Valentines with an S and an N. So it has to be spelled correctly, or I'm not going to give you credit. So spell it right. Now, apostrophe, no apostrophe, don't care.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
we won't be that picky.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you get Valentine's in there, don't care about the apostrophe. Nate says, I just joined in. What did you miss? You missed out on us talking about Mike and the Mechanics and answering one question. That's about it.
Right.
So you are now caught up. And Tim, we can now move on to the next question. So we have a question from Matt, Tim. So let's put this up here. Hello, I have a Pac-Man machine that I'm looking to upgrade to a JAMMA board, and I have a couple of questions. Do you sell a kit ready to go? Basically, plug and play and pretty easy. And number 2, what are your thoughts on upgrading the regular CRT to an LCD? What adapters or parts would I need? If I am upgrading to JAMMA, I figure I might as well refresh the whole thing. Screen, power supply, buttons, upper lights. Let me know what your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. My Pac-Man board is doing the thing where every other level has no visible walls, so that is why I am considering this. Thank you for your time, Matt. Oh, and Jason picked up on our Mike and the Mechanic song, Living Years, Tim, is the one. Living Years, I do know that one too. So, but that is the extent of my Mike and the Mechanics knowledge. If you guys are more, maybe some of you guys out there are aficionados in this thing. I do not even have that album on vinyl, and that seems like one I should have. So, but anyway, back to the stuff. Matt, so he's having problems with his Pac-Man board.
Right.
Let's start off with that, Tim. So he's
having
problems.
Wants to upgrade.
And somebody in the live chat said upgrade.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Upgrade.
Right.
Now, as you guys know, because we put out this video, right, Tim, where we did this with the JAMMAboards.com upgrade kit. Now, JAMMAboards.com is gone. Unfortunately, the owner died and the website kind of went defunct. So, with that in mind, Tim, what can Matt do if he wants to continue to try to do this upgrade like we show in the video?
Well, Mike'sArcade.com sells a similar kit. It's the same kit or is it a similar
Pretty
kit?
much the same kit.
It works just the same, right?
Yeah. We've installed this, and the instructions are very good. And our video pretty much is the same type of instructions, but the instructions that come with it are fantastic.
Right.
So
it's easy. It doesn't take maybe 30 minutes. It was pretty fast.
Absolutely.
And then you could get like a 60-in-1 board or something and just put it in there. It comes with one. That's right.
This one comes with one. It comes
so
with the
for $140, you get the power supply, the harness, the adapter, and
not a harness. You get the harness adapter.
Harness adapter. So
and
you still need a harness.
And then you get it adapts.
That's
to the
right.
Pac-Man.
It adapts to the Pac-Man.
Yeah.
So You got the adapter, three things, and that's it. We literally did that probably in about 30 minutes, and because I had a Miss Pac-Man that had some board issues, and we just wanted to shoot a video on it, and another, we wanted to just see how it was, and it was great. Works fantastic.
Absolutely. We did shoot a video on it.
Yeah, we did.
We have a video that needs to be edited of all of that stuff. We do of us actually installing. Yes, of us actually installing the Mike's Arcade kit. I forget about that, Tim. You are correct. Okay. So now the thing about the Mike'sArcade.com kit and the JAMMA boards kit that we showed, Tim, is that both of these are non-destructive, which means that if you do this kit, you can still put your old Pac-Man board in and use it. Okay, so I mean that's a really great thing. So now, as far as the LCD to CRT, Tim, what would you recommend Matt do with that?
Well, we normally recommend that you keep it as original as possible and that you send it off and get it repaired, because one day there won't be any of them around.
Absolutely.
But that's a personal preference too, and if you like it and want to do that, I'm sure somebody would love to have your monitor out of there. So it's up to you. It's kind of a personal preference. But the Mike's Arcade kit does work so well. In fact, I have a Miss Pac-Man in my garage that we keep it in there just because you can test other JAMMA boards on it.
You can.
And real quick. And but if I go to sell it, I'll just switch it right back to Miss Pac-Man in literally 10 minutes. It's good and back to go. But for right now, it's kind of become our test machine just because it's right there and it's handy. So I would just, it's kind of like if your monitor's working, like we talked about before, then just leave it alone. If it's working fine. But why not? If you want to rebuild it and get it looking good, or send it to somebody like Paul, we like the original. There's nothing to me. An LCD can almost look too good on a Pac-Man. You know what I mean? It's like, I like the raster line showing and things, and a little pixelated and grainy and stuff is okay with me because that's what I remember. The LCD monitors, though, do look good, and I'm sure you and your friends and kids and everything will have just as much fun playing it. So it's a personal preference. If you want to go that route, just like I said, don't toss it. Somebody would really probably love to have that old monitor if that's the route that you choose to go.
Now, if you are going to, I'm going to interject here real quick, Tim.
Sure.
If you are going to go LCD, commercial grade, arcade quality LCD, one that already has the conversion built in, already takes the RGB signal. You don't have to have the converter board. You can go the converter board route. We just don't like it. It makes things more difficult to us because with the commercial grade ones, they're already ready to mount, they're ready to put in, and they already have the conversion boards built in. So there's no having to rig up like, how am I going to mount this thing in there? How am I going to put the conversion board in there? And there's not nearly as much delay without the conversion board. Now let's talk about the board that he has. He says he's missing like the maze every other level.
Yes.
Every other level has no visible walls. That's what I'm reading here.
Right.
So Tim, the thing people may not realize about this is that there's a bootleg board that does this on purpose. Okay, and so Hangley Man is a great example of one that actually where the walls would disappear like every other level and stuff like that. So your board may not be broken. It just may be a bootleg that has that to kind of make it more difficult. Now, with that said, there's a lot of resources out there on fixing Pac-Man boards. And Tim, I put our standard fare of links down below for those, as well as the link to the Mike's Arcade kit. So, Matt, if you're watching this after the fact, you can go down there and you can see the Mike's Arcade kit will be first, and you'll see the other 3 links for Pac-Man troubleshooting. But if you're interested in working on your board, Pac-Man is one of the nicest ones to work on because there's so much information out there. And so, if you do want to mess with maybe trying to get it fixed, then you can go that route. Again, though, that may be a normal board. It's just that it's a bootleg that's supposed to do that. So something to keep in mind. Tim, is there anything else here before I show the slide?
No, go ahead and show the slide.
Okay. Let me go to the live chat because I saw a couple of people chime in here. I did want to get this. Let's see. Yeah, I will gladly trade them a 19-inch Dell LCD and throw in the CJ to VJ converter for the tube and chassis. A lot of people will. So if you are going to replace it with an LCD, you may post down below in the comments that you're going to do that, and somebody will offer to have that CRT tube and the chassis shipped to them. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. You can upgrade the CRT with a fresh tube while they still exist and chassis rebuild. Not an LCD fan. Of course, that's from Paul, who works on a lot of monitors, so we understand that. Let's see.
Like I said, they almost look too good at times. I think for the average person, they're great, or people are satisfied with them, and we've went that route before. But I just like the original look and feel, especially on a Pac-Man game.
Brexer Show says the LCD isn't as good as the CRT when it comes to sharpness and resolution. I have two. They are okay. But it isn't like looking at 1080p emulation to an LCD. And that's a good point, because emulation can put a little bit of a filter on there that makes it a little bit different. When you're coming to an LCD, a lot of times you're getting that raw pixel data, which does look a lot more pixelated on an LCD than it does on a CRT.
I agree.
So let's go ahead and throw the outline here so people can see. So let's start off with the first question. You can purchase the Pac-Man upgrade kit from mikesarcade.com. It's $140 plus shipping. With this kit, you can follow the same instructions that we show in our video. The process is pretty easy and straightforward. This kit is non-destructive and includes a new power supply to install. He mentioned, Tim, maybe doing a new power supply, some new lights and things.
Right.
And so this actually comes with the new power supply. You will need to install that for it to work. On the second question, we like to keep cabinets as original as possible, like Tim mentioned. If your monitor is currently working pretty well, we would leave it in the cabinet. If you want to install an LCD, we would suggest a commercial-grade arcade quality display. Okay, now you can go the conversion route with the Gombas board and a off-the-shelf LCD. It's just that it does add a little bit more delay, and there's a lot of other things you have to consider when you're not going with that commercial-grade arcade quality display. Now, on the board issue, hard to tell if it's an actual issue or if it's a bootleg version like Hangly Man, because like we mentioned, Hangly Man does this. That's like actually one of the things it does. So mikesarcade.com has a Pac-Man troubleshooting page if you want to try to repair it. We also have additional links below to some other Pac-Man troubleshooting links.
Right.
So, Tim, anything else for Matt before we move on?
No, I don't think so. I've got maybe a comment or two more in the
yeah, we're going to have to catch up here in a second.
Right.
Live chat's going crazy over here. So, but let's wrap it up here, Matt. Hopefully that answers your question. Good luck if you go with the conversion kit, and let us know if you need any help with that process. So, Tim, I am going to go back over to the live chat because it seems like we got a whole bunch of stuff that just came in. So, let's see what we got here. First off, Jumping General, you guys have the #1 channel. Can we get 2 live chats a month? If our schedules would allow, Tim, I'm literally booked up through like December next year, I feel like. It's not that bad, only May. So, but then May, school gets out, my kids are out. So, but no, we're really busy. Tim's traveling a lot. You're going all over the place. You got trips coming up to...
I've got a couple trips coming up. In fact, we'll mention those in case you're in those areas. I'll be in Fort Myers, Florida for a week in around February, the week of Valentine's. A month from then, I will be up the Jersey Shore, almost to Newark, all the way down the shore of Jersey. So if you're in any of those areas and would like to meet up, please send us an email or contact me.
Yeah, we would love to do more, but I think the time commitment right now is just too much. At some point, we will try to do more, because, I mean, if you guys, we enjoy doing them, it's just the amount of time and effort it takes to do them is substantial. It takes a lot to do an outline, Tim. It takes a lot to do prep work and other things, so I think we could do it eventually, but I'm not promising anything right now. Let's see, Radford119, hey guys, what's up? Good to be back again. So there we go. Let's see, Big D Retro, starting a restoration project on a Robotron. I may need a new ISO block because the wires were cut from it. Not sure if it works yet. This area is new to me. Where should I look for a replacement? Pretty much all arcade parts suppliers will have replacements for the isolation transformer.
Yeah.
So if it's just an isolation transformer, you should be able to get one from pretty much any arcade parts supplier.
Yeah, like
the newer ones are
Twisted Quarter.
Yeah, the newer ones are smaller too.
Yeah.
Which is really handy instead of those big old bricks like what you have. The newer ones are much smaller, and so you will get to it will kind of come down. Now I can't remember if in Robotron has a power supply board like most Williams games, so it doesn't need it. It doesn't have a transformer in there, I don't think, for AC voltages and things. So you won't have to worry about that. If it's
most people just put a switcher in it, and
you can do that
don't
too.
have to need it.
Yeah,
but you.
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past, and our God rest his soul, King Graham, and what he had thoughts about using switchers in Williams games that you can go back and look at some of our stuff on. But you could do that as well. That is always an option that's available to you. Let's see, Paul. Let's see. Delusional says, "What about 96-in-1 kit? That install eliminates rims, so it may fix it." Let's see what else we got here. Hayesville Arcade. I have an arcade cabinet in storage. Does the cold weather affect them, Tim?
Well, I think any cold and extreme cold and extreme heat definitely affects any electronics, especially think of things like static and things like that build up can do that. But having said that, as long as it's indoors and you're careful and everything. I've seen a lot of them fire right up, so I'm not an expert really to be able to say exactly why some work and some don't, but it's about a 50-50 shot when they really seems to me that they really get to those extreme weathers. Humidity, static electricity, all those things really come into effect. So the more climate control that you can keep a game, the better off it is.
Absolutely. Jumping General says, I have a bootleg Miss Pac-Man. Will this plug right into my original Pac-Man cabinet with no problems? So it depends on if the pinout is the same. Now, on an original Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, the pinout is the same, right, Tim? But bootlegs are different. Sometimes pinouts vary. So you will need to find the pinouts for your bootleg and make sure that they match the pinouts for Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man. Like that set. If they do, yes, it should be plug and play, no problems. But again, verify that. See if you can find the pinouts for your board. And Tim, there's a ton of pinouts for bootleg boards online. You can find, so more than likely you should be able to find the pinout for you. So, so it depends on the bootleg for sure. Let's see. I think we're caught up. Okay, so there we go. So let us continue on here, Tim, with this question from Josh. Let's see. That last one was Pac-Man.
Right.
So we've had two Pac-Man, so that's where the Pac-Man came from.
Okay.
Right, and we have Pac-Man. Okay, got that. Tim, I think the golden part is part of this.
Okay.
Question from Josh. Hello, I have a Golden Tee Complete Arcade. I am not 100% sure what monitor I have, but it is a Wells Garner. Okay, so we know that, Tim. After playing for about 10 or 15 minutes, the color would change on the CRT monitor screen. After doing some testing in the color testing settings, I found that the green looked to be going out after playing for 10 or 15 minutes. Because of this issue, I thought it might be time to see if I would like the game better on an LCD screen. I figured if it was time to replace the monitor, I might as well upgrade to the LCD. I purchased an RGB to HDMI converter, Tim. A little bit different than the standard Gombas we see. I've used this converter successfully a few times now, just testing it out on an LCD TV I have. I jumpered the wires off the harness that connects in the back of the monitor to test on an LCD TV. I was able to get it showing up on the LCD TV without any issues, but cannot really decide if I like the look of the game on the LCD better than on the CRT. So I left the harness for the CRT screen plugged into the back of the monitor while hooking up the converter to my LCD TV and tried to play both screens side by side to see which picture I preferred.
Okay.
Now the CRT is totally scrambled. Could it be possible I somehow changed the resolution that the game was projecting out in the CRT monitor? I would like to just get the picture unscrambled so I could go back to troubleshooting the green going out. Any help would be greatly appreciated. I love this game and I hate that I screwed it up. Thank you. So Tim, we've got Josh here who
This is an interesting question.
Who's having some problems here. So he had a CRT on his Golden Tee that looked like it was missing green.
Okay.
So he's like, well, why don't I just try to use the converter board on it, right, with an LCD? And that seemed to work, but he wasn't sure if he liked the way it looked. Like we talked about, sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. So then he splits off that signal to both. He splits it off to the LCD TV and to the CRT, maybe to see and compare which one would look better. But when he did that, all of a sudden the CRT now is scrambled. Okay, so we are out of sync, okay, is what I'm assuming that we're getting here. And so with that in mind, Tim, what can Josh do? He wants to get his CRT back to where he was before. What can he do to get back there?
Well, hopefully it just threw it out of sync a little bit, and he could probably try to adjust his hold and sync potentiometers and get the picture back in. I don't think he messed it up. So you want to make sure that the sync wire coming from your harness is connected, and that the sync pin is a good connection, because sometimes just by moving it and switching them around and stuff, that can happen. But a lot of times, when you're splitting the signal like that, that's exactly what you just think about it. Part is going here and part is going there. It's not all going to one or the other in simplified terms. So you got two things going on where there's only supposed to be one thing,
right?
If that's the way I could say it. So you might just try to hook it back up the way you originally had it. He didn't say that he did that. I want to see if it's working that way. It's probably just that it can't handle both like that. It's not a true splitter.
So here's and something I want to remember is, do you remember back in the 80s, Tim, when people would put TVs on top of an arcade cabinet, so a spectator screen?
For sure.
Okay, spectator screens, they did this too, but when you split out a signal like you're talking about, Tim, you're adding resistance to it.
Right.
Okay, and all of a sudden that means that like all of the adjustments now are lower than they're supposed to be because we split out that signal. And so now we need to kind of adjust that stuff back up. A lot of times when you did the spectator screen back in the 80s, Tim, you'd have to adjust the brightness, you'd have to adjust maybe the holds and some of the other things because you're adding resistance by adding an additional monitor. And so it could be the case here, Tim, that he needs to tweak his adjustments just a bit in order to get it to work simultaneously. Now, with that said, I like what you said.
Right.
Let's just go back to the CRT and see if it works without the converter board and the LCD.
Well, that would at least let him know it could be a pin, because you just go moving those things around. They've been sitting there for years. They like where they are. They don't like moving. They're just sitting on the couch relaxing. You start moving them around, they don't like it, and sometimes that pin will get a little loose, or it could just be the way it's configured on that board. So I would like to know, does it work outside of not being split, and then if you hook it back up originally, would it work then?
Also, Tim, obviously beforehand he was missing the color green. Now we know it's a Wells Garner, we don't know what model, but what do you think's going on with the green?
Well, it's probably just, it could be his tube, but more than likely he just needs a cap or something, to replace it. And or send his monitor off for repair to get his color fixed.
Yeah, so
it could be a color drive transistor. There's a lot of things that could be.
Delusional here too says could be a bad pot as well.
For sure.
Yeah, anything that's on that color drive line, which a lot of times there's a lot of stuff on the neck board. There's also some stuff on the main chassis depending on which model you have, right, Tim? Mm-hmm. But yeah, we have a whole video on checking a monitor tube with Michael, where we talk about a lot of this, and so we would recommend that to you. And also, like Delusional said, you may check the pots too, the color drive and the color, the drive and the, what's the other one? I always forget.
The cutoff.
The cutoff, and make sure that those pots are good too, because that can also cause the issue. Tim, is there anything else with Josh here before we move on?
No, you can go ahead and show the slide. I know it'll probably repeat some of the stuff we just said, but I think he's worried he really did some major damage, and I kind of lean to think that hopefully that he didn't do major damage to it. I think it's fixable.
And another thing is that when you're moving a monitor chassis around, Tim, like he probably yanked it out of the game and things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Cold solder joints, man, they're all over the place. So you may just need to touch up the solder on anything that looks even slightly suspect, and that may help as well. So this is not there's a lot of different things. Let's go ahead and read the slide and just talk about some of these things we've already discussed. First off, make sure that the sync wire coming from your harness is connected properly and that the sync pin is making a good connection to the chassis. Tim, how many times have we seen it where the pin separates from the board because the solder is cold? Seen it a lot. So definitely want to check that. You also want to try adjusting your hold sync potentiometers as well. When you split a video signal, it is usually necessary to tweak the adjustment, as splicing the wires will add resistance to the signal. You might try hooking up just the CRT wires as well to see if it's still scrambled without the LCD hooked up. And again, Tim, cold solder joints. Let's look for those.
Yeah.
Inspect the whole chassis and make sure that you touch up solder on anything that looks even slightly suspect. On the color issue, it's probably a problem with your CRT monitor if you're missing the green color on your if you weren't missing the green color on your LCD, right? Because we have a test monitor here, and so if that green color was there the whole time on the LCD, we know that the problem's probably in the CRT, right, Tim?
Correct.
And so see our post on checking a monitor tube and our video for more information. And another thing is you do want to check those the color potentiometers, Tim, and make sure that those are good as well. So, is there anything else here, Tim, that you have for Josh before we move on?
No. I think the live chat's getting heated up over there.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things on here. Let's see. Delusional says signal strength for colors, including sync, drops when you split it. This is correct. This is adding the resistance when we split that signal. So you will have to adjust. Brightness is usually the one thing most people have to do, but you may have to adjust everything just depending. So let's see. Joe says if you know what a spectator screen is, you are old. There you go, Tim. We are old officially. That is correct. If you do know what a spectator screen is, Tim, probably the most common game I saw him on was Dragon's Lair. We probably saw more spectator screens on Dragon's Lair than anything. Mortal Kombat's had them. Mortal Kombat 2 I saw a couple of times, but those are the only games I can remember having spectator screens on. Most of the time they didn't. You just kind of sat by the game and watched whoever was playing.
Saw Mortal Kombat in a new TV show.
Yes. You're watching this too.
Yeah,
okay.
So you know this, right?
So apparently me and Tim are both watching The Last of Us.
Too, right?
So we will talk about that in the after show. I do have it on the outline. So
good.
Let's see. Radford 119, could it be that the converter board is putting out a different hertz for sync and the CGA board is looking for 15? Well, you got to remember here that the converter board is basically only taking what's coming from the board and converting it for that LCD. It's really not converting it for the CRT.
Right.
Okay, it should be the same signal going to both places. So the converter board should not mess with the split off for that unless there's some sort of backfeed, which there usually is not. Usually, Tim, they put in protection for that, and so there shouldn't be any kind of backfeed from the converter board. Nate says, I wish I was around for something like that. It was a popular thing to do. Was it a popular thing to do back in the day? Did a lot of operators do that? So you did not see it often. It was, in fact, a rarity, and it was mainly only at arcade-specific locations. Like, you wouldn't find it, like, at your gas station arcade or anything like that. Typically, it would be a dedicated arcade that had these things.
Right, like I can think of it in the mall or where you'd have competitions and stuff like that.
So fighting games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat a lot of times had them. Dragon's Lair is probably one of the biggest cabinets we see it on, just because Dragon's Lair looks like a freaking cartoon when you see it, and so everybody wanted to watch people play it. And so Dragon's Lair was a big one that had spectator screens on it. But it was a rarity. It cost operators money to put in, which is why a lot of times they would not do it. But it was a cool thing to have for people, for games that were very popular that people wanted to see. Let's see. Radford says, okay, the converter board is syncing to the LCD first. Again, we're splitting this sync. We're splitting the wires across. So it should be the same signal getting to both places on that. Let's see. Fun fact, Dragon's Lair had a separate output for the Laserdisc player itself that allowed spectator screens to be easily added. So you didn't actually have to split the signal on that, which is pretty cool.
Maybe that's why that was one of the more common things you would see that on then.
Right. But other PCB splices for other games typically had side effects like sync, washed out colors, etc. Yeah, and this is from Delusional. Yeah, again, guys, whenever we're splitting a signal of any kind, we're going to add resistance to that signal. We're going to have to crank everything up in order to compensate. It just is what it is, right? Yeah. I mean, it's no different if you use a headphone jack splitter.
Sure.
Have you ever used a headphone jack splitter?
Of course.
You ever notice you have to turn your volume up a little bit more in order to get the same amount? It's because you're splitting the signal, right?
Right.
You're splitting the source out, and when you do that, it's taking the hertz both places. And
Great analogy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same kind of thing. So, okay. I think we're caught up on the live chat, Tim. Okay. And so we will move on to the next one here from Ben. And Tim, this is another golden moment.
Okay.
I have a Golden Tee 3D Golf. I picked up the JAMMA boards for Golden Tee 97 and 99 that work fine. However, when I unplug the machine, the settings or leaderboards do not save. I've replaced the lithium batteries, but that was not the solution. Thoughts? Thanks. Now, Tim, this is Golden Tee Generation 3, right? Is what we call this. Third generation of Golden Tee boards here, Tim. And so they're not quite to the PC level yet, like what we get with Golden Tee 4 kind of on. And so we're still using an actual board for it for the most part. And so with that in mind, Tim, if I'm replacing the battery and I'm not getting saves, what's going on? What can I do to maybe flesh that, to get that working?
Well, the first thing that we want to make sure is that you're using the correct battery.
Sure.
That, that battery back in those, that's, think about how long ago that's been now, John. It's been a minute.
Oh, absolutely.
It used to seem like yesterday, but actually 99 is when I first moved to Tyler. So it could be the wrong battery. A lot of newer style replacements are bigger, or they look like they will fit, but they're not the right voltage and stuff. So make sure that you're getting the right battery close to the one that originally was in there. If that's not the case and the battery is fine, normally it's kind of like we would think, okay, it's a battery. And if it's not the battery, or you could even make some kind of battery conversion kit, whatever, find out the original, how many volts and stuff, then the problem is probably a RAM chip. And so I know that on the slide, John, you're going to tell them exactly which RAM chips and numbers to replace, but that's just the way a lot of boards work. They have the battery would keep the savings after the game was turned off, or it was stored onto a chip. And I probably think on this one it could be a chip issue.
Okay, gotcha. So first off, Tim, I did a little bit of research on these boards. Tim, I actually have some of these still sitting around. And so I do know this information here. So first off, let's make sure you're using the correct battery. So most of the Golden Tee 3D to 2K boards use a BR2335 3-volt battery, which can be hard to find, Tim.
Yes.
If you've been looking for it. You can use the more common CR2032 as a replacement, but keep in mind that it is physically smaller than the original battery. Okay? So, of course, it is. Of course, the key is to ensure that we are giving the game board the 3 volts it needs to save the settings and scores, okay? So you can use a CR2032. Most of those are pretty common. The BR2335 is the one that was originally used in it. But again, we're just wanting to get that 3 volts to it. That's the key. Okay, so if you've replaced that, you've tested the battery, you know the battery is good, everything is good, okay, then the issue may be a problem with your static RAM chip at location U50. Okay, this is a socketed chip that's really close to the battery holder, Tim. Like, you can see it if you're looking at the board. Okay, and so you can replace this with the Sony, and there's the model number, Tim, the Toshiba, or an equivalent chip. I've seen the Sonys and Toshibas on both sets of boards, and so those should be the same as far as the use case goes. There's probably another equivalent chip, static RAM chip, that you could also replace it with. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. And the Sonys and the Toshibas with these model numbers are very prevalent. You can find them in a lot of different places. Okay. So if you are having problems and you're getting good voltage and you know the battery's good, then you may need to replace the static RAM chip at location U50. And you will see it. It is socketed, and it is literally like right next to the battery holder. And guess what, Tim? It has a nice U50, in very, very tiny print over it. So you will find it.
Okay.
So, but yes, you will see this. So you may just need to replace that chip, Ben, if you're not having luck with the battery. So, and like I said, I've got these boards, so I know that these are the chips that they used. I don't know what a modern replacement would be, Tim, on that static RAM chip. I tried to look around for one, but
I'm sure if
those Sonys and those Toshibas are very prevalent. You can find them everywhere. So,
sure.
But let's see. Delusional says, I thought the battery safe settings, not high scores. It's either an NVRAM chip or the supercapacitor that's sold. So the battery on this game does save the high scores. Okay. In some games the battery save does do the high scores. On some it does not. And I was talking with Greg earlier, who's what's his hand? I can't even think of it at the moment. Sorry, Greg. But he sent an email earlier about the Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong 3, the battery save only does bookkeeping. It doesn't actually save the high scores. Okay, so sometimes you'll have something like that. But sometimes it just depends overall, as to how the board's set up. On Golden Tee boards, that battery does do high score saving, but if that static RAM chip is bad, it won't save anyway.
They always work together. You kind of have to have both. You got to have the battery that gives the power to the chip to do what it needs to do, kind of, right?
Right, exactly. So, but the thing about it is, Tim, is that obviously if static RAM is bad, then you're not saving anything.
Right,
okay?
Doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. And if the battery is bad, then it's not going to keep the RAM chip active, and it's going to die too. So, I mean, you got to have both parts, right? Like both parts have to be working in tandem. Not all boards save high scores, right? And so, and sometimes just because you see batteries on a board does not necessarily mean that it saves high scores. That's another thing. Like we said, Donkey Kong 3, great example. So it just really depends on the board itself as to whether it does. But for Golden Tee, it should save your high scores, and if it's not, battery, static RAM, replace them. Ben, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that fixed. So let's see. I used to use those 3.6 cordless NiCad batteries for those. You can do that, Tim. So if you want to wire in like a cordless phone battery there that's 3 volt, you could do that if you wanted to, and that would last longer than the little coin cell battery, but it's hard to replace if you ever have to replace it. You put a connector on there, so that way if you need it, you just connect it back. You could always do that. So that's an option, definitely, for sure. So Ben, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that high score save working on your Golden Tee Generation 3 boards. Tim, Big D Retro, is it true vector monitors run hotter than CRT monitors? If so, I would assume it would be best to add a fan to my Asteroids Deluxe. Any other tips you can give on Asteroids Deluxe would be great. So, Tim, I don't know if they run necessarily, maybe a little bit hotter, because there are some components on there that do run a little bit hotter, and always a good idea to add fans.
Yes. I've never been disappointed adding any fan. Yeah. I've always thought more fans the merrier.
Exactly.
They've always helped me. Those games, like I used to have a pole position. I think we had 4 fans on it, and I was made up our mind we were going to make that game where it just would last, and that was about the only thing that we could do to just seem like to keep that game running.
Yeah. So, I mean, always good to add fans. As far as Asteroids Deluxe goes, Tim, and keeping it running, just make sure, obviously, that your power is dialed in on it, that everything is good from a power standpoint. Always want to make sure you're getting consistent voltage, Tim. That's very important, especially to the monitor. Check all of the power section on the monitors as well. Make sure that all of those everything is working properly and getting good voltage through there. Those are always that's always the key to keeping things running well, I feel like, is to make sure that everything is getting the voltage and power that it needs. If you're doing that, then you're doing good work. So Delusional says color vectors run hotter, black and white. I think you're okay. And like I said, I have seen, it seems like some vector monitors that do run a little bit hot, because they do, typically, Tim, you'll know if they've got some
I was
big
thinking
heat
of
sinks on there or
Tempest when
something.
he said that.
Yeah,
I was
Tempest.
like, Tempest does seem to be really hot when you get inside of it. It's
Tempest
like-
also has the way the cabinet is designed is not really designed for airflow. The way it slopes back instead of like you have, with most you have that nice big marquee light that kind of opens up the internal part of the cabinet. With Tempest, it slopes back, and so there's not as much room for air to escape, or for air to move around like there is in a traditional arcade cabinet.
So to me, I think what you're saying, John, is the cabinet design has a lot to do with it. In my opinion,
I don't know a lot. I'd say some.
It has something to do with it.
But having good ventilation is always a good idea.
Yep.
Regardless. Paul says Geo8 vectors ran hot, then start fires, he says.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. Let's see. Unless it is a Sega vector, fire hazard. There you go. Sega anything, fire hazard, right, Tim?
For sure.
So, anyway, so there you go. It just depends. I mean, always a good idea, though, to add a fan in there. And like I said, check your voltages. Make sure all your voltages are good. That's always key. Joe says, a running pole position. Now you're just showing off, Tim.
Right.
There was a time.
Well,
And there was a time we had two running pole
sit
positions.
down.
Yeah, sit down and a stand up.
Yeah, there you go. Take that as a sit-down version, too.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about my throat. I've been getting over like a little bit of a cold here, which is always fun, right?
Right.
So, Tim, I think we need to remind everybody that we're still having a contest,
Right.
Right. So, in case you missed it earlier, if you're joining us late and you would like to win a prize for watching the live show tonight, we are giving away this cassette tape player and recorder and this cassette tape of Mike and the Mechanics from 1985, Tim.
Okay.
And all you have to do, if you'd like to win these two lovely items, is to send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you include the keyword
Valentine's.
Valentine's.
With an S.
With an S, that's right. Not an M. No M's anywhere in there. Valentine's, please. So, contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Send an email and make sure you include the keyword Valentine's, and you'll be entered to win this lovely prize package worth $10 or so. It'll probably cost more to ship it than it will be to buy it, but that's okay. We hope that you have much enjoyment.
I don't know where you find. I mean, when's the last time you even saw one for sale?
That's,
So,
no, they still have these. This came from Amazon.
I know, but I'm just like, this is a neat, unique product.
Well, we've been giving away tools and handy stuff, and for the December one, we gave away the really nice heat gun,
Right.
which would have been handy this week for us.
I think so.
And so, but I wanted to do something different for tonight. So if you do want to win, just send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com with the keyword Valentine's, and you'll be entered to win this wonderful prize package. And again, Mike and Mechanics, if you will, let us know your favorite Mike and the Mechanics song in the live chat.
Previous winners are still eligible to re-win.
That is right. We do not put limitations on who wins, right? So you can win every one if you do, but so far I don't think we've had any repeats.
Okay.
I think everybody who's won has only won once.
So your chances are good tonight. So
Exactly.
shout out if you've already sent your entry in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jumping General, why are pole positions so difficult to keep working? Has anyone designed a replacement upgraded PCB board? So,
Yes.
second part, yes.
Yeah.
Somebody has designed some upgrade PCB boards that'll run. Why are they so hard to keep working? They were very finicky about power. They got jostled. They got jostled a lot because they were a driving game, and so you had connectors jostling, things like that. Very finicky on power. Goodness, right, Tim?
Yeah, and the cabinet was about this thick.
Yeah.
And hot in there. Talk about hot, was inside that cabinet got really hot.
Absolutely. There are mods you can do to them to make them more reliable, like the Sense Mod, Tim, and things like this. There are some things that you can do to make them more reliable, but overall they were not very reliable to begin with. You got to remember when arcade games came out, guys, they weren't made to run but like maybe 2 or 3 years, right, Tim?
I think so.
And so pole position was definitely one of those that ran hot, and it burnt up the edge connectors, which I just saw Paul say that is correct. It would burn up. Just Pac-Man boards had that problem too, of course. But it seems like we see it more on pole positions. But any kind of weird voltage to it, and it would throw a fit. I mean, one time we blew a breaker in Tim's game room, and we turned on all the games, and that's the one that did not come back up.
I don't think it ever came back up after that.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. So. Now, Tim, that transitions us well to Todd's question.
Okay.
So, which I thought was very interesting, so we'll put it up here. Hey, guys, quick question for you. Are there any advantages or disadvantages of using an external voltage regulator like this one? I have a baby Pac-Man, and I want to keep the power as clean as possible. If you don't recommend the EVR, are there any power conditioners that you do recommend? Thanks for all that you do. Todd. Now, Tim, Todd sent a link to this APC automatic voltage regulator, this line R1, which I also linked to down below, so you can see that. Todd Tim, as far as voltage regulators go, not a bad idea at all, I would say. Right. What do you think?
Well, yes, there's definitely nothing wrong with them. In fact, it probably would be beneficial. Now, how much benefit? I don't know. It's kind of like, that one was $68, I think.
Yes, $68.
If you got a game, he had a good game choice, Baby Pac-Man.
Sure.
That's another game that's hard to keep running and keep playing. So anything
the whole video pinball.
Right. Anything that you can do to prolong the life, I think is okay. There's usually not that big an issue. I don't know, but will it hurt? No, I don't think so. I don't know that it helps tremendously, but surely it helps some. So I'm not against it. I've never actually done it to say that I've had a game, even some of my favorite games I still have. I've never installed anything like that.
Now, when I used to work at Best Buy and I sold Tim his computer, which is how we met.
Right.
Okay, quick story. I usually sold computers with AVRs like this. And the reason why is because fluctuations in AC voltage can wear down a power supply. Okay, so even if it's, even if it's a switching power supply, over time, if your 120 is not 120, if it's jumping around 125, 118, if it's jumping around like this a lot, that can wear down a power supply over time. Most power supplies are designed to take a certain range of voltage, but if you're in an area where your line looks more like this than like this, then that will help a lot having an automatic voltage regulator. So it really depends on how clean the voltage is coming out of your walls. Opposed to how much it's going to help, right? Like, that's gonna be the thing that makes a difference.
And maybe if your game has an isolation transformer or something like that, it probably would definitely benefit from it. I would think most older games, this would be a good benefit from.
Yeah, and I went ahead and put together a slide here, Tim, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it up here. So the biggest thing about external automatic voltage regulators is that they clean up the power that's getting to your arcade cabinet. And cabinets that use switching power supplies, Tim, it's usually not an issue because the power supply itself will kind of compensate for the AC voltage fluctuations. It'll make sure that even if it's getting like 125 or 118, that DC volt line is solid, right? Like, so your switching power supply should correct for most of this. Now, games powered by AC voltage, maybe you have a Pac-Man that's still got like an AC transformer in there or something like that. It's going to benefit more from that because when those fluctuations happen in your main AC line, it's going to happen on the transformer side too. And so having an EVR and AVR on those games will help a lot more. Across the board, though, clean power can reduce the wear and tear on your power supply in your game, which should increase its longevity and be beneficial for it in the long run. So there you go. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of game you have. It should help it. The amount that it helps will depend on the game. I think that's really what it comes. Yeah, exactly. It really depends. So but like I said, if it's a game that runs mainly like AC drop down transformers or something like that, then it'll benefit more from something like that than it would with something with an actual switching or linear power supply, where those are kind of made to absorb the fluctuations anyway. Now, again, you may live in an area where your 120 volt goes down to like 100, and goes up to 150. I mean, if you're getting fluctuations like that in your line, you need something like this.
I think of ours in the summer, how when the AC kicks on, you can see all of our games just kind of go, real quick. That may help with some of that.
Agreed.
Kind of curious if anybody in the chat room has an opinion on if they've actually used them, because we've never really used one before, except for maybe in like a MAME or something.
I've used them in computers. I've never used one in an arcade game. So, Rad for 118, did you sell them a performance service plan? Little old school BBY talk. I worked in home theater in the early 2000s. So I worked in PC home office in the early 2000s. And yes, I did sell performance service plans. And here's the deal, though, about the performance service plan is that my dad had bought one on the computer we had, and we actually put claims in on it and ended up getting everything replaced under it. And so for me, it actually worked out. Extended warranties, though, as a whole, typically work in the favor of the company.
Sure.
Not always. Okay, sometimes you will. My dad, he also bought a warranty on a console Sony TV back in the 80s, and that thing always broke down.
Wow.
Like, it was literally breaking down all the time. And we had a technician after technician come out. They can never get that thing working. We ended up getting a new TV out of the deal with the warranty.
Wow.
So my dad was one of those guys, though. If he buys the warranty, he's going to use it. He's going to figure out something that's broken with this thing. So we're just going to keep calling you out.
He made sure and knew where the warranty was kept.
Right.
And
so they told my dad on that old Sony, and this is a great thing to talk about here. Obviously, we know a lot more about CRT repair now that I'm 40 than when I did when I was 6. And so they kept telling my dad every time they came to fix it, they kept telling me it was the picture tube.
Okay.
Okay, like they would come out and they would fix it and it'd work for a while and then it'd stop. And they're like, oh, it's a bad picture tube. Mm-hmm. What do you think? You think that was a bad picture tube?
I doubt it, yeah. I doubt your tube was there.
Yeah, you see, I'm wondering. So, like, my entire life, this has bugged me now, because I'm like, was that really a bad picture tube? The guys would come out and fix it. I don't even know what they were replacing. They would come out and fix it, and you'd hit the power button, and it'd come on, and then one day you'd hit the power button, and it just wouldn't come on anymore.
No,
like, it would come on, like, every 4th time.
Okay.
Okay, does that sound like a bad picture tube?
Yeah, not to me.
Not to me. Okay, like now, I didn't
Right.
know when I was 6, obviously, that this was a thing, but like, Paul is more knowledgeable about this than even we are. Does that sound like a bad picture tube to you? Right. Sounds like a power supply issue to me. Like, they kept replacing maybe the same capacitor over and over, and then they were like, oh, it keeps blowing the capacitor. Don't look at the rest of the transistors or anything. Don't forget, it's like they could replace the entire power supply section or board, probably. Yeah. That would have been the thing to do.
The ones they were getting were all bad, too.
Right, exactly. So, it's just, I don't think it was a bad picture tube. I think that's just what they told my dad. It's kind of like the car mechanic. See that thing right there? It's just, it's impinging on that thing right there kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like, just tell you whatever. Right,
bad,
exactly. Yeah. So, but I don't think it was a bad picture tube, personally. So, but that was something they always told my dad, which was interesting. So, let's see. Joe says grounds. Add until you're out, then buy more. Yeah, grounding your game is super important, guys. Mm-hmm. Super important to have your game grounded. So make sure that you do that. Let's see. Radford says, oh, he worked there prior to Geek Squad. So I worked there during the transition between when we had the techs and like we were going to Geek Squad. Mm-hmm. So I worked there for 3 years. It was a good job. I liked working for Best Buy. Mm-hmm. Like the pay kind of sucked, but I mean when you're in college, you don't care. You're just working there to make some extra money, so it was fine. But I would have met Tim if it wasn't for Best Buy.
There you go.
Joe, I have a neighbor that's selling an Astro Kombat by a company called Thomas Automatics Inc. I'm thinking of purchasing it, but I'm not too familiar with ATI. Have you heard of Astro Kombat by ATI?
I've definitely seen the game before, and have played it like at a show or something, but I'm not familiar with like working on it or anything. But man, if you can get it cheap enough, why not? That sounds like it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. So
pretty rare.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not working and they're going to cut you a good deal on it, I mean, you can't. You got to get those deals because I mean, deals aren't happening anymore, guys. Hardly ever. I know people are putting out YouTube videos and they're finding deals. They've got more time and they've got more driving capacity than we do, Tim. Because that's really what it comes down to now. I feel like you have to drive 10 hours to get any kind of deal nowadays. Here in Texas, man, the deals are drying up quick. But over in the eastern side of the states, I see a lot more deals and things. So I mean, there's still some there. Paul says TVs were a lot more complicated back there then, Tim. If you open up a new TV and an old TV, there's a lot less parts in the new TV. So that could be the case. You would think, but does picture tube sound right? That's my thing. Does that sound right? I mean, here's the symptoms. Sometimes you hit the power button and it comes on every time.
It made you wonder why didn't they just replace the tube then, if that's what it was, right?
So sometimes you would turn on the power button and it would come on every time. And then one day you would hit it and it just wouldn't come on. You'd have to hit like 4 or 5 times and it would come on. Okay. And then we called the guy back out, and it would work for a while, where you'd hit it every time it come on, and then start doing the same thing again, where you'd hit it, and it would only come on like every 4th time you hit the button.
So definitely no remote. You were the remote, right?
Right. No, it had a remote with it.
Did?
Yeah, it did. It was a big honking thing. This is a Sony now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it had a big honking thing, but the thing is that you tried the remote, and you're like, well, the batteries must be dead. So you'd go up and hit it, right? Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? And
our first one looked like a garage door opener almost. It's like a big clicker. It's like, come on, turn the TV on.
Here's some more proof that deals happen, Tim. Derek says, I managed to get a Donkey Kong Jr. for $200 Canadian. Needs full restoration, but worth it. I would say worth it, too.
Yeah, I would, too.
So, Paul says, picture tube was fine. That's what I thought. So
we knew.
Exactly. But Sony technician lied to me. He probably didn't even know what he was doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's warranty work, so they're just sending out whoever.
Sure.
It is what it is. Anyway. Okay, Tim, let us move on here. He's only asking $100 for that Astro Kombat, Tim.
You better jump on that.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let us move here. I think this is the last question we have before we get to the quick questions and answers, Tim. And this is from Bob. Bob says, hello, can you folks post a place where you can get that high voltage pro discharge device? I looked on Arcade Shop but couldn't find it. Enjoy your show. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Bob. So, Tim, we have Bob here. He's looking for a pro discharge device. Now, obviously, in our video, I don't know if we use a pro discharge device, but we do use a discharge device.
Yes.
We use the, is that Tim branded discharge device?
Yeah, I think there's some Tim Genuity in it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so...
East Texas brand.
Yeah, exactly. So, as far as the discharge device goes here for Bob, what is he looking at? What does he need to get in order to do some discharge?
Well, like, you want a B&K Precision one that you're going to have to get on Amazon or eBay or somewhere.
Right.
But Bob Roberts sells what we do. You can buy the kit, maybe even a little safer than what my homemade kit, but at the same time, always gets the job done for us. But we do have a professional discharging tube, especially for the black and white monitors and stuff. Depends on what you're working on.
Exactly. So if you see in the video, Tim, we have a lamp wire typically, or like an extension cord wire. We have alligator clips on both sides. We just solder those, and then we wrap them usually with electrical tape. And then we get a long screwdriver that has a nice rubber grip on the end. Clip that alligator clip on, and we get under there. Bob Roberts sells what he calls the safe back discharger, which is he actually drills a hole in the screwdriver and then puts the wire through the hole and solders it, which is probably stronger than what you get with the alligator clips. And so he sells a kit that will allow you to do this yourself and do all that, or he sells it assembled as well. But Tim, the thing to have if you really are going to be discharging monitors is what?
It's the high voltage probe.
The high voltage probe, that is correct. So if you're really going to be working on monitors like our friend Paul or anybody else, then the high voltage probe is where it's at. So Tim, let's go ahead and show all this for people so they can see it. So, for most monitors, a long rubber-gripped flathead screwdriver with an alligator-clipped wire attached will discharge just fine. Bob Roberts also offers what he calls a safe-back discharger that has a grounding wire attached to the screwdriver via a drilled hole and some solder. Now, you can get the kit for $10 or you can get it fully assembled for $12. Tim, I'll just get the fully assembled one. It's worth the $2.
I think so.
But it's up to you. You can always just do the alligator clips like we do, too. That'll work. Now, if you have a lot of monitors to discharge, or you need to discharge a black and white tube, okay?
Correct.
Then your best bet is the high voltage probe, the HV probe. Make sure it's rated at least 20 kilovolts, people. Need it at least 20, okay? Because that's what it's going to kick out whenever you stick that thing up underneath the anode cup, okay? So most Tim are rated at least 40.
Okay.
So that's not so bad. So this BK Precision PR28A is a 40 kilovolt high voltage probe. And so you can get that from eBay. The seller that I found there has 4 of them in stock. They're about $70, something like that. But that is the proper device for discharging a monitor. Okay. The proper one, right?
Right.
So, or you can just use the alligator clip charger like we do, or you can use the safe back chargers that Bob Roberts sells. You've got choices. Okay. If you're going to do black and whites, you need the high voltage probe, period. Okay, or if you're going to be discharging these things all the time, then you need the probe.
Sure.
Okay, for sure. Tim.
We have both. Seldom use the probe.
Yeah, Pat, who worked on a lot of Vectors monitors specifically, he had the high voltage probe. Remember that? And so it is a great tool to have. So Delusional says I have an HV probe and I never use it. I use my electrician's screwdriver and a high quality large alligator clip and a ground wire. So there you go. Yep. Paul says, I have one of those. You can hook it up to your multimeter and take the high voltage readings. That is correct. That's what this is designed to do. That's why it's got the little red and the black little inserts there.
Yes.
That is specifically put on the multimeter.
So you'll know if it's holding a charge before you go and grab a hold of it.
That's right. So Delusional says he never uses it. He sticks with the alligator clips. We use the alligator clips, Tim. I mean, we don't have a high voltage probe. Alligator clips work just fine, but it is handy and it does give you more confidence as to whether or not that tube is actually discharged. It really does.
Yeah.
And Paul works on monitors. He's got one. So if you want to spend the money, that is the correct tool to get. Okay. Or if you just want to be cheap like the rest of us, you can get the safe back discharger from Bob if you don't want to make your own, or you can roll your own with some alligator clips, some lamp wire, and an insulated screwdriver. So there you go. So Bob, hopefully answers your question, and good luck with whichever method you decide to go with on your discharging tool. So, okay, Tim. So we got the Golden, we got the Pac-Man, we haven't got the Punch Out or the paddle. We're getting to those. So let's get to those right now and some quick question and answers, Tim. So I've got 3 questions here that we're going to rapid fire at Tim.
Okay.
These are pretty quick. They're not too in depth, which is why they're in this section. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to read all 3 of them. Tim's going to give us back the answers one at a time, and then we'll kind of go over them from there. So Tim, let us get to these questions. The first one is Anthony. I need to know what fuse to replace in my Nintendo stand-up Punch-Out game for the monitor. So that's where the Punch-Out comes. John says, I have a cocktail cabinet. My monitor is not working, just the sound. Any game that is playing and not visible to see. Okay. Thanks. And then we have Steve. Would you be able to guide me with replacing a button on my Arkanoid machine? It is a conversion. I think it was previously a Galaxian arcade game. So, Tim, when I think of Arkanoid, I think paddle. Yeah. Just like Pong. So that's where the paddle part comes from if you guys are at home or trying to figure out how I came up with the title for this episode. Okay. So we have Punch-Out. We have a Punch-Out fuse. We have a cocktail playing blind. And we got an Arkanoid that needs a button replaced, Tim. So let's take these one at a time. What is the fuse that Anthony needs for his Punch-Out game, Tim? Now that's a 2-monitor setup, usually Sanyo's, right? Yes. Okay, so what is the fuse?
It's a little tiny fuse. Those little 300 milliamp 0.3 amp 250 fast blow. Okay. It's very, very tiny. They're not the normal standard size fuses, the 5mm or whatever they're called, the little ones.
Now we should mention that if your monitor did blow a fuse, there may be another problem with it, but at least that will, if you've got a blown fuse, this will replace it, right, Tim? Right. So, and that is at location F301. Okay, on this monitor. So there you go. Now, we got playing blind here on this cocktail cabinet. Tim, what's going on with John's cocktail cabinet? What can he do to get it going?
Well, we shot a video on playing blind. It could be a multitude of things, so watch our video because it could be the transformer, it could be fuses, it could be the flyback itself, it could be the hot. If you'll watch that video, they'll walk them through several things that it could be.
Okay, then we got Steve here who's wanting to replace a push button on his Arkanoid game. Tim, what does he need to do that?
Well, it's pretty simple, and we do have a video on that on installing a push button and wiring a push button. So the main thing is to getting the old one out of there. And if you watch our video, we show most of everybody in the chat room here knows how to replace a button. So we're not going to go in a lot of details, but you can contact us if you need additional help. It's pretty simple. It shouldn't take long. Couple tools that you're going to need. Watch the video.
Okay, sounds good. Now, Paul says that the Sanyo uses 2 fuses. What is the other fuse? I didn't know. I wasn't sure if the other fuse was the same or not. I don't think it is.
I thought they were both
They're both the small?
I thought they were both those tiny fuses. Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought they were both the same size.
Okay.
Same size.
Yeah, let us know there, and we'll put that up. I know the one at F301. When people say fuse, that's the one I think of. I never dig deeper. Now that he's saying that, I do remember a second fuse, but I'm not sure exactly where it is. It's a 300 milliamp or 3 or 4 amp for the other, is what he says.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so there you go. So 3 or 4 amp on the other one. So there you go. So Tim, let me go ahead and put this up here so we can see all these that you answered. So Anthony, if you have a Sanyo Easy monitor in your game, there is a fuse located at F301 that should be a 300 milliamp, 0.3 amp, 350 volt fast blow fuse. These can be purchased from Arcade Parts and Repair as well as other arcade parts suppliers. So those, Tim, we put a link down below. So if Anthony wants to go to that link, and it sounds like that other one is the same, is pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. So he should be able to, the 300 milliamp. So there you go. You should be able to use, I think that's a 5-pack. So if you get those, you should be able to use both of them interchangeably. John, it does sound like a classic case of playing blind with your cocktail. Check out our post and video on troubleshooting games that are playing blind. Send pictures if you need further help. Again, Tim, our email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Steve, sure, check out our post on installing a push button and wiring a push button for some information on the process. Contact us if you need additional help. You will need to open the control panel. That's probably the trickiest part. Yeah. And if it's a Galaxian cabinet, there should be latches on the left and right side when you go up through the coin door. So you go up through the coin door, there's a latch on either side. That will give you access to the...
And a dedicated button wrench helps so much.
It does, agreed. So if you want to get that off there, that does help quite a bit. So, but yeah, so there you go. I think that pretty much covers all those questions. Tim, did you have anything else to add on any of these questions here?
No.
Okay. Sounds good. So we will leave it at that. Hopefully Anthony, John, and Steve, those answered your questions. If not, or if you have updates, please send them to questions@arcaderepairtips.com and we will help you out further. Pictures are always good too, guys. If you send in pictures, we'd love to see those as well. He said, just checked. It's a 4 amp large fuse for the other one, It's a 4 amp larger fuse for the other one. So you may need to get a different fuse for the other fuse on that Sanyo, according to Paul. So
Thank you, Paul.
Just take a picture and let us know which one you're trying to replace, and we can get you what the correct settings are for that fuse. Depending.
Excellent.
Tim, big news. Russell just donated $10. Thank you, Russell. That's awesome. Russell. Thank you so much. That's really great. We always love it when you guys make donations. It just shows us that you guys support us, and we always enjoy that. So remember, if you would like to support us, you can go down to the bottom and hit the little $sign down there, little $sign icon, to give us a super chat and say thanks for the episode. We just and right now we're trying to raise money for something I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Okay. So every little bit helps. But we do appreciate it, Russell. Thank you so much for that. Really awesome. Thank you so much. So let's see. There we go. Okay. So Tim, I think we're done with all the questions. Yep. So let's go ahead and get to some of the discussion. Now, Tim, we had some news issues kind of crop up. We really only had 3 until like a couple days ago, and then something kind of dropped. Yeah. Right, exactly. So we'll talk about that here in a second.
That's normal.
Exactly. It does seem like that. It seems like news comes in like last minute a lot of times. So, that's something that we always have to be mindful of. And so we do try to update the outline if we get some last minute news. So, okay, Tim, but the first issue that we have here is that Tron 3 might actually be happening this time.
Yay.
Okay, so Deadline reports that Disney has a new director on the project, now called Tron Ares, and it's Joaquin Reining, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Tim, who made Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. He's still got Jared Leto attached, and filming could start this August in Vancouver. The current script is by Jesse Wiguto, and will a third Tron movie actually happen, Tim?
I think so.
It's looking promising. Good. So there you go. So hopefully that will be the case. Tim, I actually enjoyed the second Tron movie there.
I liked them both.
Yeah, I thought it was fine, and I actually really liked it. So I do hope to see another one. Not everybody does, but I do. So, but Tron 3 is really great, and it's just really great to hear that they are making progress on it for sure. Tim, you gonna go see a Tron 3? Are we doing a midnight showing on this?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't know about a midnight showing. We'll probably go see it though.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know if I'm gonna stay up that late.
Yeah.
With Tron 3.
I understand. So, we went to go see Tron Legacy, though, I think. Was it midnight showing for that? I think I did. So, Tron Legacy was good. I have a poster in the game room bathroom for Tron Legacy, too.
That's right.
Seeing in there. And now it's hard to think that happened in 2010.
Crazy.
A long time ago, so. Okay, Tim, last month we reported that Mortal Kombat 2 source code had been dropped. Okay, like it had been leaked, and people were starting to dissect it and things. Well, now Mortal Kombat's lawyers have shut down the leak of the source code, okay? So the source code for 1993's Mortal Kombat 2 was published to GitHub over the holidays, purportedly revealing new artwork and an alternative storyline. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery, the corporate parent of NetherRealm Studios, has gotten involved, filing a DMCA takedown demanding that GitHub has honored. It had been uploaded by user historical source, who also posted the source code for other old video games before. So Tim, this is really really sad, because I feel like here's the thing about, I understand like they're probably still re-releasing Mortal Kombat 2 in some forms, but it's like you're not making money on the source code anymore, really. What's the harm in having it out there? Right. I don't, it's like I don't understand. It's not like there was anything. I mean, there was some hidden stuff in there, but it wasn't a ton of stuff. And actually, it drummed up a lot of interest in the game. So you would think that the smart thing would have been just to leave it out there and just let it go. But no, they wanted to make sure they claimed it for their own, and so they have taken it down. Tim, I like this right to repair thing. I think that once a company stops making money off of a product, they should be required by law to release all the documentation on that product.
Right.
Okay, so like Apple is no longer making iPhone 6s.
Right.
Okay, like I know we're on 14s, 15s, 14s, but like why not release all the stuff for the iPhone 6? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's using that anymore, and open it up. And it's like I don't understand. It's like that's what I want to see. It's like once a product goes defunct, the company should just release all the documentation on it so people can continue to support it if they want to.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you're still making money off of a product, that's different. And I understand, like Mortal Kombat, you're kind of still making money off of it. Not Mortal Kombat 2, but Mortal Kombat, obviously is a thing. So,
it's a little greedy.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would have liked to see him just leave it out there. Tim, we had the NBA Jam source code that dropped not long ago and had some cool stuff in it. It's like, there's nothing really in this. And really, I think, if anything, it gives more it kind of
notoriety.
It kind of gets people excited again about the game again. Right. Like they'll go back, they'll see something in the source code, like with NBA Jam and how some of the things that they found in NBA Jam, people go back and play the game because of that. Well, that generates sales for the game, right? So, Alan says he's still using an iPhone 6 Plus. So,
there you go.
No longer supported, right? You're not getting updates anymore on the iPhone 6, right? So, I mean, that's my thing, is like, they're not supporting it anymore. I mean, they've already released their final updates for that thing. Why not just release all the stuff for it,
Exactly.
So, I'm not saying it's a bad thing you're still using it. I'm just saying that Apple's not supporting it anymore. So, I mean, I'd like to see more companies do that. It's like, once a product goes defunct, let's just release everything we have on it. And that way people want to do stuff with it, they can.
For sure.
We're trying, and here's the thing. I don't want electronics ending up in landfills. Let's repurpose that stuff if we can. That's my point.
I agree.
So, anyway. So, kind of disappointing about the source code for Mortal Kombat 2. It is what it is, though. They own it. They have the right. There's nothing. I mean, it's definitely within their realm of possibility to do that, and legally they can do that. So they did. Now, Tim, Arcade 1UP did release a game this month. We thought it might be Mortal Kombat 4, but it was not. It was a re-release of Star Wars that they had already released. It was the 40th Anniversary Special Edition. Now, Tim, there's a couple of differences in this one versus the one that they released before. Arcade 1UP is re-releasing their Atari Star Wars cabinet. The new version features side art that connects to the riser to simulate the original arcade side art. Do you see that, Tim? Mm-hmm. So it also has a molded lit faux coin door, just like the original. Nice. They're going for that original look. And a light-up marquee, which the other one did not. Price is $600 and is set to be available on February 15th. The new cabinet can be pre-ordered at shophippo.com. So if you guys want to get in on that. So, but yeah, you can get this one. And Tim, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I was about to say, a lot of people are still looking for a Star Wars arcade cabinet, right?
Right.
I mean, because they are not going for cheap.
No.
That is for sure. So if you want a Star Wars arcade cabinet, this is the cheapest way to get one. It is an Arcade 1UP product, so, obviously it's not up to commercial quality. But still, I mean, if you just want to be able to play the game at home, not a bad deal. They've added some stuff that makes it a little bit better, in my opinion. So maybe worth it. There you go. Let's see. Delusional says NBA Jam has a Michael Jordan hack distributed recently everywhere. They aren't pulling it yet. Yeah, I've seen that too. And so, yeah, a lot of these hacks, that is a problem with some of the stuff. But we'll see. Time will tell. I mean, the thing is that once it's on the internet, it's out there forever. MK2 source code's still out there, right? It's like once it drops, there's no such thing as deleting it. Somebody has a copy somewhere. So.
Somewhere.
Alan says no updates on his iPhone 6 Plus, still at iOS 12.5. Email, Facebook, YouTube, Safari still work. That's good. So, but who knows for how long they're going to support that, right?
Right.
So, it is what it is. Let's see. Russell says, I was just going to say that I saw that on Jaws Arcade a little bit. I think. Oh, okay. Tournament edition only, he said. He's the Michael Jordan hack.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, there was a set of ROMs that had Michael Jordan. An official set of ROMs that were only available to, like, certain people. So, I mean, it may not have been, like, a hack as much as it was a dump of the official ROMs. So, there you go.
Gotcha.
Okay, Tim. Now, this last one was the thing that really caught fire, like over the last couple of days. Now, people wonder why we keep posting stories about Billy Mitchell, and Tim, I would say the reason we do is because every time we do, we get a ton of traction and views. Okay, so as long as you guys keep viewing and watching it, we're going to keep putting them up there. It is what it is. So, Tim, this was the big news that came out of this, though. Billy Mitchell photos emerge showing non-original Donkey Kong hardware apparently used for disputed score. Okay, and this is from Nintendo Life. Now, our friend Mark sent us this video, but Nintendo Life kind of broke down the video, which is why I like this post. Because I don't like just posting to a YouTube video, because I'm not telling you what the important parts are.
Right.
Nintendo Life went through the video. They broke down the important parts. Here's what they are. New evidence has been uncovered that suggests Billy Mitchell did indeed cheat to attain his record-breaking Donkey Kong scores, as revealed by Carl Jobst on YouTube. Previously unseen photographic evidence shows what appears to be a non-original, potentially 8-way joystick as opposed to a 4-way joystick of the original cabinet. This difference makes it supposedly easier to perform certain moves and would give anyone using it an unfair advantage over someone using original hardware. Now, Tim, that last part is from the article, but may not necessarily be right. But let's talk about why this is important. Now, you can see the picture here, Tim. Does appear to be a non-traditional joystick.
For sure.
Okay, I have a Donkey Kong over here with a traditional joystick, and it does not look like that. Okay, we know this. So, Rexer Show says that looks like the same 8-way joystick on my Superman arcade. There you go. So let's talk about why this is important. Well, one, because Billy claims that he performed all of his high scores on original hardware. Well, right there, that control panel is not original.
True.
Okay? It may be a 4-way joystick. Okay, we don't know, right? We don't know without looking at it. And so if it's a 4-way joystick, it's technically fine, but it's not an original style joystick for sure, right? So it may have given them a competitive advantage. Now, people were saying in the post for this, well, an 8-way joystick does not register, the diagonal does not register on a 4-way game on an 8-way joystick.
To me, it would be harder to play with.
Right, and that's what most people said. But our friend Patrick Scott Patterson, Tim, who used to be a Twin Galaxies referee and manager, okay, said that in Donkey Kong, the direction that you hit does play a role in the way the barrels drop.
Right.
So there's a theory, and he cannot prove this, but there is a theory that somebody put forth saying that if you used an 8-way joystick, you may be able to control the barrels differently or better. Okay? Don't know if this is true or not. Have no idea. Even Scott could not confirm this for sure. Okay? But there is a theory that if you used an 8-way joystick, you may be able to get better control of the barrels. Okay? That's a possibility. Don't know if that's true or not. But we do know from the Donkey Kong source code, Tim, that the directions do play a role in the way that the barrels roll. I've looked at the algorithm myself. I know they do. Okay, so the way you hit the joystick and the directions does play a role in how some barrels drop. And so it is possible, although I have not used an 8-way joystick on Donkey Kong, that may play a small role in maybe improving your score. Do not know that for sure. Conjecture.
When small things matter. Yeah, it's kind of like an NFL. Every inch matters sometimes. When small things matter, it could make a difference, but we're not that good anyway, so it wouldn't matter to us.
Right. So I'd love to hook an 8-way joystick up to a Donkey Kong to see how it acted, and maybe I should do that, Tim. Maybe we should do that.
Maybe we should do a video.
Yeah, we'll do that just to see. I mean, because some games, yes, when you hit both of them at the same time, it does not register. Some games will continue to register whatever the first switch was hit. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
So like let's say it's a 4-way game, and you hit up and then you hit to the right. It'll continue to register the up, and it won't register the right until you release it. And that's how it does. So it doesn't. When you hit both of them, it doesn't really kill it. It just whichever one was hit first kind of takes priority.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that may be the case with Donkey Kong. Don't know for sure. So Verzer shows us huge advantage to use an 8-way. It's not theory. You can climb up and steer barrels at the same time. Donkey Kong Forum will confirm. Okay, Verzer show. Homework. I want to see a video.
Right. The video challenge.
That's right. We want to see the video. So a little bit of homework here. We do want to know if that is the case. If you can do it, I want to see it.
Right.
Because this has been theory as far as we know, but if we have video proof, that'd be pretty awesome. If you could sit on the ladder and then direct the barrels any way you wanted to go, that would make a huge difference in the way you'd be able to play the game.
I think so.
Right? And so if that's more than a theory, we have a theory.
We need proof.
We need an example. We need the proof. So, Rigzer Show, this sounds like a great video. And if you end up doing it, we'll send everybody your way.
Yes.
Okay, because that is something that seems like a very important thing to document. So, let's see what we have here. Paul says, I tried playing with an 8-way on Donkey Kong. I could not do it. Nick says, it's easy. Is it easier to play on an 8-way? It seems impossible. Joe says, the short Nintendo stick allows me to perform much better. I thought that too. I was like, I don't know if I'd want the tall stick. I think the short one gives me more control, personally. I mean, I'm not a pro Donkey Kong player. Razor Show's really good. Greg, you're really good.
But your thumb is not this big.
That's true. I mean, that is true. So, let's see. And Nick says, still not original. And that is the key. He said he did it on original hardware. That is not original hardware.
Yeah, wrong there.
Exactly. So, let's see. Oh, he says the 8-way has other detriments as well with DK, like getting stuck at the top of a ladder. That is correct.
All right.
The only way I've played DK with an 8-way was on a multicade.
Yeah, or a multicade.
Like a 60-in-1. That's the only way I've played it. But the 60-in-1 may register different than a traditional machine, right? Because it's emulation.
Like to see that. Yeah.
Right? So it is what it is. Let's see. Joe says, if Billy does it, you can bet it's to his advantage. Right. That's probably about right. Delusional, who cares if Billy cheated? I don't. But I find this whole thing technically fascinating.
Yeah.
Right? I find the technicality fascinating. If Regzer is right and our friend Scott is right, and you can control the barrels with an 8-way better than you can with a 4, I want to see it. Because I think that's cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things, I just want to see the proof. I don't care about Billy Mitchell, but if you can do that, that's pretty darn cool.
Right. I'm thinking instead of 72,000, I might could get up to about 75 now.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly. My high score, Regzer Show can get on up there. My high score, I think I've talked about, is like 100,000.
Right.
I mean, I may have broken like 150 one time. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you're talking about people are getting millions, like 1.1 million.
Right.
Golly. So that's ridiculous. Let's see. I will say Billy Mitchell is responsible for inspiring the real high scores, and they're out there now, and that is super cool in my book. That is true, Delusional. That a lot of people got into the high scores now because of the King of Kong, and I still like that movie. Even if Billy Mitchell cheated and all this stuff, still very entertaining. And if Billy Mitchell turns out to be the guy that's actually in the movie, that's even cooler to me in a way, right? He always denied that he was really that way, and that they kind of made him out to be a bad guy. Yeah. It's kind of looking like they didn't make him out to be the bad guy, if you know what I'm saying, right, Tim?
Maybe.
Don't know. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but it's not looking good on your part. So, but yes, Razor Show. Let's see it. I want to see the video. If you can put together a video, should I do a challenge? You can use this at the front of your video right here. We're gonna do it right here. Razor Show. I challenge you to show us a video where the 8-way joystick is beneficial to use on Donkey Kong versus the 4-way, and how you can control the barrels. If we could see that, that would be fantastic. Okay, there you go. I gave him a little drop there. You can put that at the front of your video, and then we'll just send all the people your way.
Right.
So there it is. I want to see it. If you can do it. Because Scott, again, our friend Scott did not know for sure. He was an official ref, an official manager for Twin Galaxies for a long time. And so he had heard of this, that this was a thing that could be done. So if he had heard of it, I would assume that it can be done. Because Scott's a smart guy, and he wouldn't mention it if it was just some off-the-wall kind of thing.
And if anybody in our group would know that could score that high and know that it is an advantage, would be Rexer So too. So.
Right, exactly. so absolutely. Yeah. So, and he says, I'll try it. He said, okay, well, let's see it. Okay,
good challenge.
Go. So, Robert says, shout out to Delusional Arcade. Love your videos on Centipede Overlay. Guys, you guys need to be checking out these videos from these other guys who are in here. We are so honored to have guys like Delusional and Rexer Show in here, because you guys put out good videos too. We want to support the entire arcade YouTube community, so you guys go to some of these other guys' YouTube channels and check out their stuff too. If you're subscribed here and you like arcade related content, you should be going over there too.
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead and post a link to your video channel, guys, in the chat room if you want. Some of the new guys in here may not know it, and that'll be fine. They can click on it and check you out.
Absolutely.
Subscribe.
People like who was it earlier? Was it who said that I wish you would do the live show 2 times a month? Well, we don't put out content but once a month, but that doesn't mean there's other channels out there not putting out content. So make sure there's a lot of other content out there that you can go check out. That's really great. We're not the only ones providing arcade repair content on YouTube for sure. So make sure you check out some of the other ones too. They're well worth your time. Especially Delusional's Arcade, Rexer Show. Those guys are worth your time. Make sure you check out their videos. Okay, Tim, I think that we are done. Oh, housekeeping. Okay. I mentioned this. So we have been selling the DVDs for a long time, Tim.
Yeah.
For a very long time. And so we have been using PayPal to do that for a long time. We recently changed our payment processor to Square. I think I talked that. So if you go to our website, arcaderepairtips.com/store, and you buy our DVDs, now you will be redirected to Square instead of PayPal.
Okay.
And the reason why is because PayPal fees are high, and Square's giving us a better deal.
Good.
And we've used Square, too, for a long time.
We've
used Square when we go to shows to sell DVDs. Square was our payment processor for those. And so we do like Square quite a bit. And so make sure that you're, if you want to buy our DVDs, that's at arcaderepairtips.com/store. And now click on the link, and it'll take you to the Square site to buy whatever DVD you want. Those are available there. And Tim, big news. A lot of people have sent us emails saying, hey, like, it's great that you still sell DVDs, but, like, I don't have a DVD player in my house, and I'd still like to get that content. We will be opening a digital store soon.
Yay.
Okay, hopefully. I'm working on it. I've been working on it. So here's the housekeeping, Tim. Just start up here. Payment processor change. Our online store where we sell our DVDs has now changed payment processors from PayPal to Square. And then our digital store is coming soon. We are currently looking into ways that we can offer our DVD content in a digital format. We believe we have found a platform that will allow us to do this. Watch for more announcements coming soon. And this is what we're trying to raise money for, Tim. Because obviously it takes a little bit of money to get that started. And so we are trying to get that kind of set up. And so you will be able to buy all that content that's on our DVDs on a digital platform where you can watch them. And Tim, my hope is that we'll be able to price it to where you can buy all of the Volume 1 DVD content for one price. And it will be cheaper than the DVD. Because I don't have to ship it.
Or you could just buy a single.
Right. I don't know if we're going to do single videos. Except, here's the thing too. We may release our Volume 5 on the digital platform without the DVD. So, that may be the thing. So, and you may be able to buy single videos of that. I don't know. We're working out the details. We're working on it. We're working on it. So, that's what I would say. So there you go. Robert says, Square is great. I use it for my business. We've used it for years. We just didn't use it for our online purchases. We used it for in-person purchases because they had the card reader and everything. We had really good luck with it. But now, since PayPal fees are ridiculous, we are changing everything to Square. So we are very happy with Square, and it is good stuff. So let's see. Hayesville Arcade says, like us on Facebook. You guys do that. Razor Show said, I just did a video because I just killed screen Duncon Jr. and they made me show my joystick immediately after to qualify, Tim.
Nice.
So there you go. Robert says, Delusional rebuilt the trackball and did a really good alternative overlay on the, I think he was talking about on that centipede. Yeah, okay. Which is really nice. You had a nice alternative overlay on yours at one point.
I did.
That's really cool. I like that.
I do like mine.
Regular Show says, DK Jr., you can steer the snappers like barrels. Same concept, he said. And DK Jr., I did not realize that. So, let's see. Yeah, fantastic to hear that you guys are offering a digital content platform. We're not there yet. We're getting there. Delusional, so I'm hoping that we can. And it's just going to be for the content that you normally get on DVD. So, basically, we're selling our DVDs in a pack, like... You'll get to buy a Volume 1 package of digital content, a Volume 2 package of digital content, and it will be cheaper than what the current DVDs are because I don't have to ship anything.
Right.
So, but we're trying to raise money to kind of get that all set up. So we do appreciate you guys when you donate. Obviously, when you buy our DVDs, when you do stuff like that, that goes to support that for sure. Okay, Tim, I think we are done, so let's go ahead and wrap it up here with a nice reminder that we do want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put in a plug for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Again, Tim, we did this because there are a lot of channels that were getting... very close to monetization, but that we're not quite there, and so we were trying to help out those arcade-related channels get just over that hump for monetization. And so if that's you, if you're not being monetized at the moment, but you'd like to be, and you need to get more people over to your arcade-related channel, let us know. Send us a video that we can show, and maybe we'll show it during one of our live show episodes to everyone. Now, Tim, before I go to the comment section here, I will remind everybody of our contest. So here we go. If you want to win this nice cassette player, okay, and this nice Mike and the Mechanics cassette with silent running and All I Need Is a Miracle, you need to send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you put in the keyword
Valentine's.
Valentine's with an S on the end. Make sure you do that, and you'll be entered to win this nice set. This is a teal, like we talked about, cassette player that has a built-in speaker, so you don't even need the earphones, but the earphones are included as well. Has a microphone, so you can record if you could use some blank cassettes, and it also has an AM/FM radio, so you can check out your favorite baseball game, football game, whatever, without having to actually watch it. So
I need to get one of those for the plane.
There you go.
And just look like I want the orange headphone sets with it too.
Yeah, you have to make a mixtape,
like a Walkman,
with all your favorites. So, and you'll get this nice Mike and the Mechanics, because I can't give you a cassette player and
not
give you a
going
cassette.
through security with it. They're going to be like, what the heck was
exactly. So there you go, guys. So if you want to win this, contest@arcaderepairtips.com. We will open that, Tim, for 24 hours. Okay?
All right.
So this time tomorrow, you have to enter. If you send in after that, you will not qualify. So we like to get as many views as we can in that first 24 hours. That's very important. So again, contest@arcaderepairtips.com and keyword Valentine's, and you'll be entered to win this nice prize package. So we would love to send it to you if you're the winner. So big shout out to Radford119, Tim. He sent in $9.99, which is awesome. So thank you so much. I feel like we're in retail now. Right. $9.99. That's what I'm talking about. No tax on that. You see, it's perfect. So thank you so much for that, Radford. We greatly appreciate that. It's very meaningful to us. We love it when you guys give donations. It means a lot. So, Robert, hey guys, I asked a question above. You might have missed it about the Discharge device tool. Oh, we may have missed it there. Let's see. I'm going to have to go back up here. Robert. Let's see. I'm going to scroll. Tim, can you talk while I'm scrolling? Need to fill time.
Yeah, we just want to thank everybody for watching. We're almost at the end. So
yeah, here we go.
Go ahead.
On your last show, you mentioned the device used to discharge monitors at Arcade Shop. You said it was best to use. Couldn't find it on Arcade Shop. Could you comment on link for purchase? So I put all of the discharge tools that we recommended earlier in the links down below. So the SafeBack Discharger from Bob Roberts, as well as the high voltage probe. Now, Arcade Shop may not sell the high voltage probe anymore. I think they did at one time. So now you'll have to get that from eBay or another parts retailer. So there is an eBay link down below, Robert, that you can go to that will have that high voltage probe if you want that. But like Delusional said, he uses a screwdriver and the alligator clips, even though he has that. We do too. We don't have one, but we use that. So it's really,
most of the time,
it really depends on how much you're going to be discharging monitors. If you're going to be discharging them a lot, if you plan on opening a business and working on them, high voltage probe is where it's at. Otherwise, you can get the SafeBack from Bob Roberts, or just do some alligator clips, lamp wire, and an insulated screwdriver, and be good to go. So, okay, we get it? Cool. Radford119, thanks for everything you guys do for the community. Well, thank you for being here, because here's the thing, guys, there's no show without y'all. Okay, if it wasn't for y'all, we'd just be talking by ourselves in an empty room, and that'd be really boring. So it's because of you guys. You guys are what make the show so great. Without an audience, there is no show.
Right.
Isn't that the thing? I don't know if that's coined, but if it is, then it is now. So, but yeah, without the audience, there is no show. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting us and for everything you guys do. That means just the world to us. And I mean, the fact that we've been doing this here, Tim, I mean, Arcade Repair Tips opened in 2008, and now it's 2023. We've been going for a while. Yeah. So, and it's nice to hear all of the good comments and everything. We appreciate you guys. So, let's see. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and put the contact information out there, Tim, real quick. Our general, wrong button. Our general email is questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject if you want to get a mention on the show. But again, our general email is questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. That goes to me and Tim. So one of us will try to reply to your question, or we'll save it for the live show. We will try to answer those as we get them. And then we have our YouTube page, which if you're watching this live or you're watching this at all, you know about. But maybe you're listening to this on the question and answer podcast feed and you want to know where that is. Well, you can go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com and view the video for this episode. And the comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode. So you guys who are not watching this live, you're not left out. Just leave a comment on the video, right, Tim?
All right.
There you go. If you do that, you're right in the discussion with all the rest of us. So, again, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com to check out all of our YouTube videos, including the video for this episode 72 right there. And Tim, we have our podcast feed where we have our live shows, interviews, question and answer podcast, etc. You guys can go find that on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. If you have an Apple device, or maybe you want to check it out on Spotify, you can go to spotify.arcaderepairtips.com. Or we have it on our Stitcher page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com, or wherever fine audio podcasts are aggregated. If you do a search for Arcade Repair, you'll probably find us. We'll be there. So, and we would appreciate you guys going to iTunes and leaving us a nice 5-star review if you like the show, or sending us an email if you don't. And letting us know what we're doing wrong. We always take constructive criticism, right, Tim?
Yes.
There you go. But check out the audio podcast, guys. Again, we post all the live shows there, as well as some interviews and other things from time to time. iTunes.arcaderepairtips.com will get you there, as well as Spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, and whatever your podcast app of choice is. So I use Pocket Cast. So if you do a search for Arcade Repair on Pocket Cast, you will find it. I promise. So there you go. And then we have our social media pages. And Tim, we always want to thank Mark for all the contributions that he's made. He is the one that let us know about the Billy Mitchell stuff that was going on. And so we do thank him for that. If you want to see his contributions, as well as mine and Tim's, you can go to facebook.arcaderepairtips.com for our Facebook page. And you can also go to twitter.arcaderepairtips.com for our Twitter feed. And we do welcome questions on both those platforms. So if you want to ask questions there, you can. Email is probably the best, though. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com is definitely the best, but we will take questions via Facebook and Twitter as well. Again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com or twitter.arcaderepairtips.com, depending on your platform. And all this stuff gets cross-posted to both those pages, so if you're just on Twitter or you're just on Facebook, you're really not missing out on anything. All the content is the same. And again, thank you, Mark. So, okay, Tim, well, that about wraps it up for episode 72. We do have the after show coming up here. I was going to check the live show, the live chat real quick. Let's see. I always want to point out that you can catch the audio-only podcast as well if you're on the road. That is correct. So you can do that. So, yeah, you can just do the audio-only podcast. A lot of people like to do that. So if you're in, here's the thing. When I'm at work, I can't watch something, but I can listen to something, right? And so, if you're in your car, you don't want to be watching a video, but you can listen to the audio. And so I understand why people like the audio version. It is very handy. So that's why we do release an audio version as well. So, Tim, we will be releasing that tomorrow. But for tonight, we are wrapping up the regular part of the show with an after show to come up. What are we going to be talking about in that after show, Tim?
Well, I imagine we're going to talk about some sports. There's a lot going on right now.
There's a big Superb Owl event going on or something like that. And I believe there's 2 teams in that. It's something like Eagles and Chiefs against each other.
Yeah.
Which, if I was looking at it, I would think the Eagles would win. I mean, they're just going to rip the face off the Chiefs if it's, if you're just thinking claws and everything. And,
or kind of like somebody said, if you don't know, you grew up very close to where Patrick Mahomes is from.
I did. I went to the same high school.
And same high school as Patrick Mahomes. I know, met his parents. We're very close to Dallas. So that pretty much means that the Cowboys are playing in the Super Bowl.
That's about as close as we'll ever get.
Yeah.
No,
we're definitely got some...
Definitely pulling for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, though. We'll talk about the college football championship. Tim, did you watch TCU versus Georgia? Last time we had a live show, the game had not happened.
I watched it for a few minutes.
The game has happened now. And there is some news about the Georgia quarterback we'll go over. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
In Dallas. So
I did.
There we go. XFL starts up February 18th. We'll be talking about that. I did just recently upgrade my wireless at the house, and we'll talk about kind of what I went through that. I will talk about how bad I am at small talk, Tim, which is something that's very important.
Okay.
So I will tell you how bad I am.
And we always talk about shows and movies, although I didn't get mine to yours in time, but I'd watched one of the craziest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, don't say the title.
And I don't know if to recommend it or not, but it's definitely not your usual movie.
There you go. And we will be talking Last of Us, which is obviously a video game adaptation on HBO Max. And you have seen all 3 episodes at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so we are both caught up. And so we'll be talking about that as well. We'll be talking about some of the other shows we've been watching.
And what video game was spotted in that movie and played a...
Oh, you said it earlier.
Right. So did you see it? We'll see.
I definitely saw it. So there you go. Okay, Tim, well, I think we'll wrap it up. Should I remind everybody one more time about the contest? Contest at arcaderepairtips.com to win this cool cassette tape and Mike and the Mechanics cassette tape and cassette tape player. Make sure you put in the keyword Valentine's in that email to be entered. Okay.
All right.
We done.
See you guys soon.
So if this is your off-ramp, so for you guys who are just watching the live show for the first time, what we do here if you're watching live is we will take a 5-minute break and we will come back for the after show. If you're listening to this on the audio podcast, you will not get the after show. That's only on the video feed. So you will need to go to the video for episode 72 in order to get the after show and then fast forward all the way to, about the end of the regular live show to get to the after show. So we will be discussing any topic there. We do take arcade-related topics there too. But if you're watching this live, just hang on about 5 or 10 minutes and we'll be right back with the after show. Otherwise, if this is your off-ramp, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. We want to thank the entire live chat who is here. Bravo to you guys. You made it interesting as always. And we got some donations tonight, which is awesome. So thank you guys for those. We really appreciate all of the support you guys have shown us through either donations or just from being here. That's a big thing. And Tim, we say this every time, but it's so true. The show is not the same without you. And so with you here, when you contribute, you change the show, right?
Right. You are the show.
There is a question I'd like to pose just real quick, Tim.
Okay.
There's this I think there's this thing going on, I don't know if it's on Twitter or something, that people are asking, would you rather, there's a red and a blue door. The blue door, the red door has $10 million behind it.
Okay.
The blue door, if you take that, you'd be able to go back in time and fix all of your mistakes. Which one would you choose? We'll talk about it in the after show. Okay, you guys have a great month. We will see you back here in March if this is your off-ramp. We hope that you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and or at least a semi-sane one, if nothing else. And we hope to see you right back here the first Thursday night of March at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Again, Tim, we want to thank everybody for being here. Anything else you have?
Nope.
Okay, then.
See you on my birthday.
Oh, that's right. Is it literally going to be your birthday for
March
the next
2nd.
episode? It's actually your birthday?
It's always February and March are always the same day. So if today is the 2nd, it'll be March the 2nd.
Wow, look at that. So join us again on Tim's birthday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, where we'll have gifts for him, as well as some other things. We look forward to seeing you then. Or stay tuned for the after show. We'll cover some topics. But again, we want to thank you for being here. And remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game,
We play the game. Goodbye,
take care, everybody. We'll see you in the after show. Or we'll see you next month on Tim's birthday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
Okay, and we're back for the after show of episode 72. Tim, how'd the show go?
Well, I think it went pretty good. The live chat was very chatty, and sometimes some really interesting, some different questions. Something a little out of the norm. So I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed doing it.
It was. Now, it's cold in here. We mentioned that the game room is cold in the winter and hot in the summer. That's how it is here. I thought the heat was going to kick back in, but I guess it won't. So it is a little hot out. It is a little cold in here. Tim put on his jacket. It's not too bad for me. I'm gonna survive. I'm moving. So anyway, let's talk about how our January went. Tim, how did your January go?
It was good. It was pretty fast. I can't believe it seemed like we just wrapped up Christmas and we're already in February.
Yep.
I did go to Chicago for 3 days. We went to a company meeting. Most of it was at the hotel right by the airport. So we went to the airport to the hotel and we stayed there. But for a fun night out, they took us downtown. They bussed all 400 and something of us to the House of Blues.
Nice.
And it was very fun. So we had a good time. Still a little hoarse from that even. Not feeling bad, just a little hoarse. But what about you? Did you do anything exciting or just...
We had, my son was born on January 31st. If you go back in time to some of the live shows, you'll see a not-so-live show on the day he was supposed to be here. So he was born on January 31st, so we had a birthday party on the 28th for him at a local place here. And then, and then my nephew was born in January too. And so, we had my son's birthday party in the morning, and we went for my nephew's kind of birthday celebration in the evening. We went to Grand Slam and Ken's, and both those places were blowout busy, Tim. And so I'm probably gonna. I was a little sick even before I did that, and I'm still kind of feel like I'm recovering from things. And so I've just been in petri dishes for the last month, it seems like. So
okay.
Sickness, which is great, So being around little kids and everything like that. But I'll make it. I'll be okay. So we do have something here in the live chat, Tim, before we continue. Bobby Broadway says, found a Super Mario NES machine for $600, non-working, but all the parts are there. Good deal or not? So he says, cab is in good shape. Looks like power supply is bad to me, but haven't bought it yet. So if it's not coming on at all...
Dedicated Super Mario Brothers
I would assume
complete,
so.
right?
Yeah, $600.
Fair deal.
Yeah, I'd say it's on the high side just a bit.
Maybe, but when's the last time you saw one for sale?
It's true.
That's a fair deal by today's standards.
Yeah, if it's in a dedicated cabinet's in good shape, and it's not coming on, I would try to talk him down to 5 or 4, personally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, if he hasn't bought it yet. I thought he said he bought one.
He said found.
Oh, found one. Yeah, I definitely would be in that $300 or $400 range, but...
Lower the better, but, I think $600 is high to me. I think at $500...
For non-working, because you don't know what else
right, for $500, I'd be tempted.
Yes.
For $400, I would just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I think it depends. $500, I could probably take it or leave it, depending. Because here's the thing. Non-working is what it is.
Right.
Okay? Non-working. Now, you're assuming it's complete. Okay? So, we're assuming it's complete. If it is complete, it's worth $500 to me.
Okay.
Okay? Not $600, I would probably walk.
Okay.
Okay, I'd probably walk.
I think that's fair to say.
So, there you go. So, it's up to you, though, Bobby. Let us know what you decide to do. I'll try 500 if I'll ask if 300 would work, and he said no. Yeah, 500 is probably closer. Or meet him in the middle. Say, how about I'll meet you between 300 and 600, 450.
Right.
I like to meet in the middle because it makes everybody sound reasonable.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
And so 450, I'll meet you in the middle. We'll just split the 300. I think it's worth 3. You think it's worth 6?
Yeah, and then again, how good a condition are we talking about? Are you going to have to do any kind of cosmetic work to it, or is it all just going to be repair? That may be some talking points or something you could use to try to get him down on the price a little bit.
Agreed. Michael Bloom says, so long as it's not Play Choice 10, man, I hated those. I love Play Choice 10s.
No, I do too.
Play Choice 10's good. Nate says, I have a Carnival game. I discussed it here possibly 2 months ago. It would randomly freeze up, look like gibberish on the screen until you turn it off and on. Well, I checked to see if it was overheating and the fan stopped working. I replaced the fan, the power supply to a brand new one. Worked well for a month. Now I'm noticing it freezing again. I noticed some dust on the chips. Yeah, so at this point, probably need to start looking at the board.
Right.
So let's clean up that board. Let's make sure. And Carnival, does it have a hard drive? I think it may. So freezing up a lot of times can be a hard drive issue.
Yeah, I wonder about a hard drive if it has one.
So it could be that your hard drive's going out too. May want to consider a flash kit.
Mm-hmm.
So if it does have one, I believe it does. Bobby says, thanks, I'll try 450. If it had 2 split wood spots on the back edge, I'll have to bond them.
Okay,
So
that's
there you go.
not too bad.
Not bad. 450. I like to meet in the middle. So you said 3, he said 6. I'll meet you at 450. Because like I said, it makes everybody sound reasonable, right? It's like, hey, I'll meet you halfway. You meet me halfway.
That sounds good. Yeah.
So there you go. 450. I'd do it for sure. Nate says, this is on the Carnival. Due to the fan burning up in the first time, I cleaned it up with 99% alcohol and the cotton swab and got most of it off. Was pretty nasty, filthy. Do you think the dust could have heated the chips up? Possible, but I mean, it could just be its time. When you have hard drive games that freeze, bad hard drives are a thing. And a lot of times that is the reason it's freezing up, especially if you check power supply. Mm-hmm. So if it does have a hard drive, which I believe Carnival did, make sure that it may be time to replace it. So is what I'd say. But you do want to inspect the board. You do want to look for any areas that may be. And you can kind of feel if the chips are hot to the touch, that's a giveaway that you may be having a problem. Not necessarily that you are, but that you may be. And so clean the board real good. Press on or just touch the chips a little bit or wave your hand over the board while it's running. See if you notice any hot spots. Because like I said, that could be indications that you have bad chips. Check the voltage on the chips too to make sure that the voltage is correct. So especially if you get a little bit of heat, that's a good indicator. So, okay, Tim. So January, does it sound like went well? Have you been doing any investing, or are you pretty much out?
I have been buying a little bit here and there, but more long-term strategy. I've been buying gold and silver, and you might remember me saying that I'm getting ready to sell my heating oil stocks that I bought back a few months ago. So now I'm going to be looking at some commodities that will ripen ready for the summer. So energy stocks are hot for me right now, and maybe some oil and gas again, because while the demand is low now, price has been pretty reasonable, but I do expect that to increase in the summer.
So I haven't been doing any, but I checked my wife's. My wife has some IRA accounts that we've rolled over to Vanguard, and I checked to see how they were doing. And so she's had them there about 8 years. Tim, in about 8 years, she has almost doubled her money on those Vanguard index funds.
Nice.
And so Vanguard is really good about that. And so if you are looking for a platform for like index stock or like long-term investing, like IRAs and things, you may look at Vanguard. Vanguard's a really good one. We've had money. We've had money with Vanguard for a really long time. Now, if you're looking at just stock trading, we do like Webull. We've talked about that before, Tim. That's probably our primary one. Vanguard, you can open accounts with them for that kind of stuff too. But like I said, the Vanguard index funds, Tim, are really good.
I was saying there was a stock that went up yesterday. Everybody was talking about it, and a lot of people were saying it's already up 100%. I wouldn't buy into it, and that's crazy because it went up to 900%.
Oh wow!
It went from like $7 to $80. I can't remember the ticker, but here's the deal: learn how to read your charts, because don't be afraid. There's the fear of missing out, which is bad, but also don't be afraid to jump in on something that's really hot, because a lot of times, if it went to $80, if you would have spent $14 on that,
right,
you would have made a lot of money. So I would encourage everybody to really learn how to read those charts.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously. That's a good point, Tim. I like that. So, yeah, and right now the market's kind of coming back a little bit. Now, here's the deal. We still have to be afraid of a recession, I feel like.
I do, too.
The market is still, we're kind of in this fluctuated area. So it's not a bad time to buy, depending on what you're buying, like Tim mentioned, especially if you're buying trending stocks for like seasonal stuff. That's very good. But just, like you said, read the charts, kind of look at stuff that you're interested in as well, and that stuff will help. But if you see companies laying off people, Tim, that's a bad sign. And so we are kind of on edge of recession, we feel like right now. And so, just be careful what you're investing in, because you can lose money, obviously. So, again, just kind of general advice. Take it for what it's worth, not much. So, choose your own path. So there you go. Let's see what all we got here. Nate says he's going to add another fan. He says, but besides changing out the power supply, which I'm not sure what to do. That being said, I didn't check if it was outputting the correct voltage when I put the new power supply. Now, that is key. Yeah. This is something we talk about. When you put in a new power supply, you check it immediately.
You're going to need to tweak it a little bit, probably.
Right. So make sure that is putting out the correct voltage. They don't always do that from the factory. So always when you put in a new power supply, make sure it's got the right voltage.
Under a load.
He said hard drives have been replaced long ago with a compact drive. So that part has been taken care of. At this point, voltage and boards are what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So it's
you may just need to tweak that power supply just a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably
and
just
like
a little
in games, like their voltage just a slightly bit higher than what we get.
About 5.1.
Yeah, almost to 5.1, maybe like 5.05. something like that, is better with light gun games typically. So definitely. Michael says there are two kinds of hard drives in the world, those that have failed and those that will. That is true. So, and you should always replace your drives before they fail, Tim. I would always recommend that. Don't wait till they die. So, very important. Let's see. Wingo Tango. Need to replace bad RAM on a game. Do I need to replace bad RAM from another exact board, or can you get replacement anywhere? You can get replacement anywhere for the most part. Our good friend at Arcade Parts and Repair carries a lot of that stuff. So arcadepartsandrepair.com. If you're looking for a particular one, if the RAM chip has a number on it, it's very easy to just pull that number and then go to that website and he'll find you a replacement for it. And so Arcade Parts and Repair is where you can go. Does not have to be off the same board. Now, that is with RAM. Now, there are some security chips. There are some other chips, proprietary sound chips like on Konami games and things. There are some things that you do need the actual, like, the chip for, and you may have to take off another board. Okay? But RAM chips, a lot of times, are very generic. You can usually get replacements. Not many things are going to use proprietary RAM chips. So,
great.
Okay. Let's talk about Super Bowl pick, Tim. Now, we already said that we're going for the Chiefs because we're Dallas fans and we don't like Eagles.
I was going to say, we can't root for the Eagles no matter
Patrick
what.
Mahomes is from my hometown, and like I said, we went to the same high school. So, I mean, for me, it's all about the Chiefs. But, Tim, who do you think will win? That's the bigger. I
think it's going to be a good game. Either one winning would not surprise me.
Right.
But the Eagles look pretty good.
Yep.
And their defense is definitely really good. But they haven't played a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. Just always goes to a different
But Patrick Mahomes
level.
is hurt.
A little hurt. So, but he's had a couple weeks now to rest. But a high ankle sprain is a hard injury to recover from. In a short amount of time.
Agreed.
So, but even hurt, he's really good.
Let's see. Bobby says, "Go Chiefs." So there you go. I'm in Kansas City. He's in Kansas City. So
a lot of people after watching the last play would say, depends on who's refereeing.
That's true. That roughing the passer call was legit.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah, I think so.
He was clearly out of bounds when that guy pushed him.
Yeah. Easily.
I mean, now there were some other questionable plays.
Yeah.
A lot of people were questioning that play. I'm like, no, that play is that is legit. So
I agree.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So Tim, if I had money on this, I'm putting on the Eagles.
Eagles, really?
Yeah, man. Jalen Hurts.
It's like who you want to win, but then there's who
defense.
you think
Golly,
might
their
win.
defense is good.
Very good.
It's gonna be close. I think I'd put money on the Eagles though, personally. So there you go. So, what did you think of all the rest of the playoffs? Obviously Dallas got kicked to the curb by San Francisco?
It was a good game though. It was there was a lot of good games.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I thought the Philadelphia, Philadelphia Giants game was a really good game. I was hoping that, and this is what happens a lot. I was thinking that the 49ers were better and we're going to give the Eagles a tougher game, but your quarterback gets hurt. That shows how much it can affect everything else. So
absolutely,
very good. It's a lot of good games. So we'll see. It'll definitely be a good watch. I think I will be just getting into Fort Myers that night, so I'll probably be watching it from the hotel room that night. So
yeah, I think one year we were at a conference for that, and they had the hotel set up a big projector outside for us to watch it on.
Oh wow!
So it wasn't even the Super Bowl. I think it was just the playoff game, but it was cool. TCU Georgia. We talked about this. We were excited about TCU last month, and TCU got creamed by Georgia. That was a massacre. So. Yeah, it was
that
rough.
Looked like a high school team playing a pro team.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the quarterback for Georgia, did you see this video that's been circulating in Dallas? Apparently, he's been
I heard about
him.
Got under arrested. I don't know if it'll hurt his... I do think he's a really good quarterback, so I don't know how it'll hurt his draft choices, but it'll be interesting. A lot of rumors about Dak Prescott. Is he going to stay with the Cowboys or are they going to trade him?
Well, he's under contract, so he's got to stay with the... I mean, we've got him under contract. The question is, like you said, do we trade him?
Right.
Because there are some places who'd want him. But here's the thing. Who do you get? Who do you get to replace him?
Well, the big rumor is you get Aaron Rodgers. And you send Dak Prescott to the Packers, but it just seems...
I don't want Aaron Rodgers.
I don't want him either, but he's available. He definitely wants out. So it'll be a situation like that.
Now, Bobby and Michael both say they don't watch sports ball. I keep up with it. I have to admit, I didn't watch all of these games. I watched bits and pieces of all of them. I don't have time to watch an entire game anymore. I turn it on in the background and I work. So, even I just keep up with it. Here's the thing, though. When you go to a game, it's still exciting. It's still fun. And I always remember the excitement I have going to games, Tim.
Sure.
So, that's the thing, I guess, In fact, I've been to a Super Bowl.
I was going to say, you've been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Was it as everything you thought it would be, or was it a disappointment? Or
Watch it on TV.
Yeah, okay.
It's nice to say I went, but golly, the
You saw the
experience.
halftime show?
I did. But so the experience is terrible because, like on TV you get all the great angles.
Right.
Like when you're there, you have one
hard
angle
to
and
see.
it's bad.
All right.
So, that's the problem. So I can say I always went. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I'll talk a little bit more about that. NBA, NHL seasons, Tim, are happening. NHL All-Star Game this weekend.
Okay.
In Florida.
Okay.
So you may have a lot of people around you.
Maybe.
So when you go. But it's this weekend. You're going the next weekend, right?
Yeah.
So, but NHL All-Star Game, that'll be fun to watch. They do skills challenges and stuff like that. And then the NBA, Luka was hurt there for a while. He's back now, so I'm enjoying watching again.
All right.
So I got my Lukas for Christmas. But I don't wear them too often because I don't want to get them dirty. But so there you go. But it's and then XFL starts February 18th, Tim.
Coming close.
So I looked up tickets, and they're way more expensive than what they were the first time around.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so we could go if you want to for your birthday, or I could get you something nice. So it's up to you. We'll talk about it. But we did go the last time. I couldn't do the 5th if we did it because we've got like a wedding on the 4th.
Okay.
But I could do it like maybe the 28th or something.
Okay.
So we'd have to see if you want to do it. So I tell you what, though, even at the prices that they're charging, almost all sold out.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's resellers,
right,
or if that's actual fans. So maybe XFL is making a comeback. I don't know. So there you go. Let's see. Okay, I got a Blake here. He says, been saving money for years in a Pac-Man cocktail table fund, waiting till I had a place to put it, but I'm starting to think, don't wait any longer. Prices are only going up. I lost... so there you go. As far as Pac-Man cocktails, if you're looking for a dedicated, that is correct. But you got to remember the cocktail tables are available. Our good friends at Holland Computers have a wonderful kit that you can get that's really nice. If you want a dedicated original, though, prices are going up. And so, but you could probably wait it out. I think, like we talked about, economy may be starting to hit a recession. We see people getting laid off. And so that may affect the arcade market. Right, Tim? And so it may be worth waiting to see what happens in the economy before you make decisions. Just saying. Let's see. Bobby says, I was in Denver when the Avalanche won the Cup. That city can party. That's pretty awesome. The Stanley Cup, Tim. Okay. So there you go. Let's see. M714W, I lost sound in my tapper on the top of your head. Any idea where to look? I did not dig into it yet. So if you're looking for sound issues, you obviously want to start the speaker. We have an entire video on sound issues, M714W, that you can check out. That'll show you just some basic things to check. But start with that video and then go from there. There's a nice little video that says troubleshooting sound issues, I think is the name of it, Tim. Mm-hmm. So watch that video. Start at those places. If you need additional help, get back with us via email, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Let's see. Michael says, Holland knockdown kits are amazing and affordable. That is right. Holland has great stuff, don't they, Tim?
They do.
I mean, we love Holland Computers. It is our premier parts supplier, and we've obviously have a good relationship with Bill and all the people over there. There are some great people over there. I love those guys. So
great customer service.
Can't say enough about Holland Computers, guys. If you're ordering parts from them, and they do run sales all the time, especially on the cocktail kit. So wait for a nice sale. Sign up for their email list and wait for a nice sale. You'll get a good deal, I promise. And and like I said, and with the economy the way it's going, you may want to wait. So just saying, if you want an original one. So, okay. I think we're caught up there, Tim. Other discussion. Now, Tim, I did want to mention that the hot tub is still in the box.
Okay,
because that's how busy
I've been kind of wondering.
Hot tub is still in box.
All
so
right.
I will get it out. I'm busy. So we will get it out. I do want to mention that I recently upgraded my wireless in my house.
Yeah,
so
you were showing me.
I went from like a single Unify long range unit to multiple Zyxel access points, and these use Wi-Fi 6, Tim, and it is blazing fast. Fast. I mean, it is amazing. I'm getting super Wi-Fi signal now, and I'm very happy with it. And so I did like Unify is great, but I don't like the fact that you have to set up, and this is all tech stuff for all of you people who use like Ubiquity stuff. I don't like having to set up their controller software on a computer to set up my access point and then keep it on that computer all the time. It's kind of a hassle. Zyxel has a web portal on their website you log into to manage everything, so you don't have to run it off like a computer, which is nice. And so the setup was very easy, and I was able to get everything set up. I mean, you can get everything set up in a matter of minutes, and it takes all your settings and just works. Very happy with the setup I have. So I had one long-range Unify access point. I went with 3 Zyxel access points, and speed is incredible, reception is incredible, works great, no problems, and highly recommended. So I will say that. So let's talk about how bad I am at small talk, Tim, because I've been talking about this. So speaking of the Super Bowl, I got to go to the Super Bowl back when it was here in Dallas. It was XLV. I don't even know I'm not good with Roman numerals, Tim. What is that? 50 something. I don't know. But I'm not good with Roman numerals. But when 55? It was here in Dallas, I did get to go, and I got to meet Mean Joe Green, Tim.
Right.
So here's the thing. I'm always trying to think of like, okay, I'm meeting a celebrity. Like, what should I say? Do you ever think about this?
Yeah.
Tim is better at this than I am.
You tell him, how about a Coke?
Yeah, exactly. Well, with Mean Joe Green or something. No. Right. So the Steelers and the Packers were in the Super Bowl. You remember that? Okay,
I remember this.
And who did Mean Joe Green play for, Tim? You know this.
He played for the Steelers.
Steelers. So I walk up to him, and I'm waiting my turn in line to get the signature and to talk to him and everything. And I'm just like, I'm like, what am I going to say to him? And here's the deal. I figured it out. I turn to Captain Obvious whenever I meet people that I'm not familiar with. Sure. Like, so I'm like just going to comment on the most obvious thing I know. And so I literally just went up to him and I said, I know who you're rooting for today. Like that. And he's just like, like that, and that's it.
All right.
So that's how good I am at small talk.
Okay.
And then there was a guy for the Packers we met too that had made an amazing catch, and so we got up there to line and to talk to him, and I'm just like, "Hey, how about that catch, huh?" He's just like, "Yep." I don't know how to engage people. How do I engage people, Tim? I need to be better with this. I'm trying to work on my small talk. So I'm trying to come up with like anecdotes that that I can tell or something like that from my life. Maybe I need to keep track of what I mess up on. So this week, let me try some on you. I'll try some small talk on you.
Try it.
So this week, I have my son's birthday, right? And so the night before, we're tired. Okay, look, guys, we're burning the midnight oil around our house. We're working a lot, okay?
Sure.
And so I'm tired, and I'm literally wrapping gifts. And it's almost like my eyes are half open. Well, I go to wrap like the final gift, and I'm like, this piece of paper won't fit over this freaking gift. What is the deal? And I flip it over, and it was my daughter's homework. I'm literally trying to wrap a gift with my daughter's homework. That's how tired I was. So,
that's tired.
There you go. So is that a good what would you call it? A good story. I need little stories like this. It always self-deprecating is really good.
So you go up to Patrick Mahomes and you go, "What's up, Mahomes?"
Yeah, exactly. And he's just like, "All right." Yeah. So that is what it is. So, but I don't know. Maybe people out there are better at this than I am. I'm just not good with small talk. I'm not. So I'm getting there. So me and Tim have been friends forever, so it was easy. But it's like I've just never been good at it. So especially with celebrities.
Yeah, like, just walk up to them and say, "What's your favorite pizza?"
Yeah, you see, maybe that's the thing, right? Question right off the bat.
Something they're not going to get. Right. And, give them a question.
Exactly. Question right off the bat. They may be good. And this is not just with celebrities. It's just with anybody. Specifically celebrities, I feel like I'm terrible with. But I'm working on it. Okay, let's see. Bobby says, I point out similarities with movies and what's going on in real life. That usually works for small talk. Yeah. How about that weather, huh?
Right, there you go.
Did you catch the game last night? I mean, it's like you want to come off genuine, but at the same time, you don't want to be too generic.
You got to be different too, because everybody asks them or says certain things,
Exactly. So yeah, I'm working on it. So. Oh, teacher, where's your homework? That's what would have happened.
My dad wrapped it.
Yeah, my dad wrapped my brother's present in it. That's exactly what happened.
Sounds believable, doesn't it?
It's almost as bad as my dog ate it. Almost.
Right.
So, anyway, okay, let's talk about some movies movies and shows that we've been watching, Tim. So let's do the both stuff first.
Okay.
Last of Us. Okay. So we're watching The Last of Us on HBO Max. This is based on the Sony PlayStation game. It's about basically if a fungus took over all of humanity and turned us all into zombies, and there's still some people who are not zombies yet, and how they survive and all that kind of stuff, right? That's where we're at.
Correct.
Okay. So we're 3 episodes in, Tim, based on the 3 episodes that you and I have both seen. What do you think you would give this?
Well, I would say that it's probably a 7 out of 10. I like it. I think there's some things that could be better, and but I like it. So
and you mentioned the Mortal Kombat scene earlier. That was really cool. They did that really well, I thought.
Well, it was just weird though how the girl knew what it was that had never been outside before, but she knew what a Mortal Kombat game was. That was kind of like, there's a few things like that don't quite add up to me in it, but at the same time, I like The Walking Dead, except for it just got to where it just kind of got old.
Yep.
I wanted to hear more of the stories, and they do it a little bit different on this one. It's more of the story than it is about the zombies, like how they survived, and it gives the backstory and. The one guy that was basically a doomsday prepper lived for that day. He was like, yes, I know what to do. And how he really did and has survived, and then lived a good life, right?
Yeah. Oh, Bobby, I do have to mention something that this Bobby says reminds me of that old buffet meat cutting training video. That's exactly what I was alluding to, the old country buffet training video. Have you seen this, Tim? So,
maybe.
Yeah, there's a cool skit with Bob Odenkirk that they did on Kimmel with it. That's really funny. But it's they're training people how to be at the old country buffet, like how to greet people. He's like, did you catch the game last night?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And how's the weather out there?
You know who's really good at that? Dutch Boy Coffee.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
They will talk your ears off.
There you go.
You're sitting there waiting on your coffee. They're like, oh, I like you. I see your shoes, and I like this about you. And they're always good about picking up conversation. So
okay, back to The Last of Us. So I agree with everything you said.
Okay.
I think it is very entertaining. I'd probably give it a 6 or a 7 right now. I like the approach that they're taking. I don't want it to be as much about the zombies as it is. I want the story.
Right.
The story is more exciting to me than the zombies. Right, exactly. So, but I mean,
you know what I like is cool. Remember, if you watch The Walking Dead, they'll go into an old store and they're gathering up all the old cans and stuff. And there they said, whatever you do, don't eat the food because people were sick and processed and made the food. The food is probably tainted.
Right.
And a lot of people were getting the fungus from eating food.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool how they explain that. And I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Because we had an incident happen, Jonathan. I don't know if you've ever had this. We had a small deep freeze that went out. Oh. And we figured that out after about a week.
Oh.
And it did not smell good. So I can't imagine what apocalypse type event happening. All the rotten. Imagine going in Brookshire's and all the rotten food. I guess everybody would loot it the first few days, and maybe there wouldn't be that much left. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's really great. I think the storytelling is really well done. The episodes are long.
Yeah,
so
they're really long.
They're really long episodes. So you will have to do that. But it's very good. I think it's worth your time.
What day does it come out of the week?
It's a Sunday.
Okay,
it comes in the premiere HBO.
I must have watched that third episode on a Sunday. I think I watched them all like on one Sunday.
Yeah. I watched the football games, or I listened to the football games, then I watched The Last of Us.
I want to watch it again.
So yeah, so far 3 episodes in, I'm liking it. And it's really good. It's really well done. I like the main character guy anyway, who's also in The Mandalorian and what's his name? I can't think of the actor's name at the moment, but he's really good too.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I mean, it's really well done. Everything has been good about it so far. Really enjoying it. So highly recommend The Last of Us. And I'm not a zombie guy.
Right.
I should say that I'm not a zombie guy, but I like it. Tim, what else have you been watching? You said a movie.
Okay, I will say this: that I watched probably. And I like those M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Yes.
I like the twist at the end.
There's a new one right now.
There is a new one coming out, Knock on the Cabin or something like that. Friday, I think it comes out. Also,
the Dave Bautista.
People are saying that Mr. Otto is really good.
Yep.
But at the same time, I watched the movie, and I'm skeptical about recommending it because it was one of the weirdest, craziest movies I ever saw. But then again, it was kind of cool because it totally was different than any movie I've ever seen. All right? So I'm going to tell you guys a story. If you have seen it, please don't spoil everything in the live chat. Not a horror film, more of a thriller, but a little scary. Okay? So be if it's good and dark, you might want to have a significant other around you. All right, so here's the thing. A lady goes up to an Airbnb. She gets in there and her key is not in the holder. And she's like, what the heck? Here I am. I'm stuck here. And a guy answers the door and says, can I help you? And she's like, are you the owner? This is my Airbnb. And he goes, it's my Airbnb. And so they realize somehow they got double booked. Okay? And the guy's acting a little creepy. But it's a really bad, sketchy neighborhood, and she doesn't know what to do, and it's late at night. So he comes up with the idea, why don't you just stay the night? Okay? And somehow he convinces her to go down into this basement. Okay? And if shout out in the live chat if you know what's going to happen when it goes on in that basement. But so sounds like a good movie though. Something that could technically kind of happen.
Right.
Or did he set it up? Was he the creepy guy that made it out like he's the Airbnb guy, or just happened to be there the same night as her, and they end up spending the night? And that what goes on that night and the next day is. Then it just goes sideways off the chart, off the beaten path.
All right.
So,
what's the name of it?
Barbarian is the name. Barbarian. Okay. It's on Prime Video.
Okay. I'll see. I don't know if I'm skeptical.
Yeah, if you'll watch the first 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, because I was like, until it goes off on another turn, I was like, why is there so much left? I'm figuring out what's fixing to happen here. And I was wrong. Okay. If you want a movie that you can't guess what's going to happen and you will never guess the end of it, watch that movie.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to go over mine real quick. I have quite a few just because we've been... Like, I watch TV shows a lot. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So this just came out on demand. It's at the movie theater still.
Okay.
But you can buy it, and my kids were dying to see it. So we bought it. And it's really good.
Okay.
And we love Shrek. We love Puss in Boots. We love that whole universe. And so they've watched it who knows how many times.
Okay.
So really like it. Now, right now, it's $30 to buy it, which is a little on the high side, but it's cheaper than going to the movie theater. That's always what I tell myself.
People,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. So, but if you want to do it on demand, you can. So, and if you're like my kids and you're going to watch it 15, 20, 30, 40 times, it's worth it. Right? I'm only paying $1 per watch at this point, I think, or less. So, there you go. What about the Night Court reboot, Tim? Have you seen this?
I have not seen it.
You need to watch it. It's funny.
I've heard it was good.
It's good. It's already been renewed for season 2.
Oh, so kind of like the Karate Kid. It's really popular. Everybody wants to see it.
So I am a big Night Court fan. Before they even announced the reboot, I was going back to the old episodes.
Original characters?
The original cast and everything. Okay. So the only one so far that has reprised is Dan Fielding, John Lorcat.
Okay.
Okay, so he is in it. Okay. He is a main character of the new one. He's the only one that's reprising his role. The new judge is the daughter of Harry Stone.
Okay.
Abby Stone.
Oh,
okay. And so it's very similar. I'm a sucker for sitcoms, and it hits all the right notes. All right. So I highly recommend it. Watch it. American Auto, Tim, is another sitcom that's pretty decent if you like workplace sitcoms. And this season, new season 2 just started, and it's better than the last season.
Okay.
So if you're into workplace sitcoms... let me tell you something I don't necessarily recommend is Will Trent on ABC. I really thought this was going to be good. It was kind of a detective style story, even going as far as to kind of mimic a film noir kind of styling. But the third episode was so poorly edited and the storytelling was so terrible that I stopped watching it. The first 2 episodes were really good, and the third episode screwed it all up.
I hate those.
So I was like, I can't recommend it right now. The first 2 episodes were great. So the pilot episodes were really good, but they totally screwed up the third episode, and now it went from a recommend to not recommend. Just like that. 1 episode. That's all it took. So don't watch it. How I Met Your Father Season 2 is on Hulu right now. That is really good, and you do get to see some former characters from How I Met Your Mother in there, which is really good, so if you watch that. So Help Me Todd on CBS is something I've been getting into, and it's really good. Like it so far. Highly recommend it. So now I watched the documentary Madoff, the Monster of Wall Street.
I've been wanting to watch that.
It's good.
Okay.
Wow, they tell the story.
Okay,
like
good.
From the beginning, like from the 80s. And I'm like on the last half of the 4th episode, which is the last episode. It is fascinating how he conned $19 billion. How do you con people out of $19 billion? You want to know? Watch the documentary. Okay. Now he owed them $63 billion because supposedly he was investing this money, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there was no investments, Tim.
Wow.
He didn't invest their money at all.
Wow.
He literally just took the money and used it for his own stuff.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
I mean, he was a crook. We knew it. I mean, it's not like it was a thing, But it is fascinating. You should watch it. I mean, I knew the story. I knew it was a Ponzi scheme, but I didn't realize it was the biggest Ponzi scheme in history.
Right.
I mean, I guess I did. Right. It's like, how in the world does something grow like that? The documentary tells you how. And it's from the 80s. He starts in the 80s with it and then slowly builds it up. And he had some computer programmers that were doing some special software to show the trickery and everything. Basically, he made it look like he would buy stock when it was at its lowest point and sell it when it's at its highest point.
Sure.
Every single time. Even though he was making no trades, he was sending out statements that showed he's buying it at its lowest point and selling it at its highest point every month.
Right. Like he knew the magic formula.
Right. And so, like, when actual investment bankers started looking at these numbers, guess what, Tim? There's no way that somebody could be that right.
Right.
There's no way. Basically, you'd have to predict the market to a T to be able to do this. And nobody can do it. So it was fake. Anyway, fascinating. I'm done. Tim, you done?
I think I'm done.
Okay. So we will be back here on Tim's birthday for episode 73. Mm-hmm. Wow, 73. So we will celebrate Tim's birthday. What do you want for your birthday?
Man, there's nothing I want. I don't know. There's nothing, you know.
Do you have an air fryer?
I do have an air fryer.
Okay, well, I can't get you an air fryer then.
Well, I say we have an air fryer. It's actually my sister-in-law's.
Oh, well, there you go.
But it's been at our house.
Oh, so she's still with you?
No, she does not live with us anymore, but she left her air fryer, and I don't know if we're going to willingly remind her.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know.
I could get you your own. You can get it back.
There may be something I can think of. I don't know.
I can get you a tool or,
There's always...
Gift card?
Yeah, gift card or something. I don't know.
It's more fun if you have something like actual to open up for the live show. So.
Got a couple weeks to think about it.
Yeah, you got a month.
Right.
You got an entire month from today. Mm-hmm. So what will this
yours
be?
will be rolling right behind mine.
That's true. What age are we at here, Tim?
Be 5'3".
Wow. Okay.
I was born in '70, so it's always
that's true.
easy.
You're easy. Yeah, my dad was 60, so it's easy for him too. So 5'3", the big 5'3", man.
Yeah.
So, you're still a young pup.
Still older than Pac-Man.
That's right, exactly. So no, you're still good. You're still in good shape. You're still around. That means something. I tell you what, there's an actress from 24, and I forget her name at the moment, but she played Renee Walker, and she was only 45, and she died recently of cancer, and that makes me feel old because it's like, golly, she was young. So it's amazing how you get older and everybody else seems younger.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, 70 sounds young now. Exactly. Back when I was a kid, that sounded like I was ancient.
Yeah,
it is what it is. So anyway, I will get something for Tim's birthday. Maybe I'll decorate. Should I decorate? Like, happy birthday, get your cake, something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Cake sounds good.
Yeah, cake. We can do cake. Big one, little one, cupcakes. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we will have a party for Tim's 53rd birthday on March 2nd. So there we go. So, and we hope to see you here then too. So you guys have a great night. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hopefully you'll get to watch it. Hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. We want to hear all about it if you want to tell us about it. Hopefully you have big plans. If not, maybe you and your wife just hang out, and that's cool too. Or maybe you're not married and you're just, you just watch movies by yourself. Whatever you do, that's okay. Celebrate the way you want to celebrate, right, Tim?
Yep.
So, but we want to hear about it. So meet us back here March 2nd when we're going to do this whole thing over again and have another live show and enjoy each other's company and talk some arcade repair and some other things as well. So you guys have a great month. Tim, anything else before we leave?
Remember, I'll be in Fort Myers and up the Jersey Shore. So if you're in those areas and you would like to get together, or at least recommend me a good arcade that I can go check out, I would appreciate it.
Sounds good. Well, safe travels, Tim. And to all you guys out there, have a wonderful month, a great night, and be safe out there. And thanks for joining us again. We love having you here, and we look forward to seeing you in March. 73 coming up.
Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.